Chapter 345. His own happiness. I got the money. Tang Yun whispered, "Thank you, Ha. Then how are you going to thank me?" Lin Yi could imagine Tang Yun's face right now, a beautiful girl standing in his yard, holding her phone carefully, talking to him in a low voice. As for how Lin Yi knew that Tang Yun was calling from the yard, it was because he heard the sound of crickets on the other side of the phone. Tang Yun didn't know what to do from Lin Yi's words. Her breathing quickened, her face flushed, and her nose beaded with sweat. How should I thank you? You're the one thanking me, why do I have to say it? Lin Yi could hear the nervousness in Tang Yun's voice and teased her. Then I'll kiss you. Tang Yun hesitated before asking timidly. Sure. Lin Yi didn't want anything from Tang Yun. He wasn't the type of person who would take advantage of others. Of course, it was a different story for people he didn't like. Tang Yun's heartbeat quickened. She was embarrassed by her own bold move. When? Lin Yi asked. You say. Tang Yun replied nervously. Then now? Lin Yi asked. Now. Tang Yun paused. How was she going to kiss now? Was it over the phone? Wasn't that just a fake kiss? Would Lin Yi have such low requirements? Go ahead. Lin Yi, of course, wanted Tang Yun to kiss him for real, but he didn't want to do it because he wanted to borrow money. You're so annoying. I'm not ready yet. Tang Yun said shyly after being surprised. When are you ready? Lin Yi smiled. Your kiss is so expensive, 200,000 in one go. Then wouldn't you go bankrupt if I kissed you a few more times? Tang Yun laughed at Lin Yi's words. Yeah, I have to calculate how many times I can be kissed with my current money, Lin Yi said seriously. Then you do it. Tang Yun hemphed. Right, why did you transfer me 200,000? Didn't your mother say that your father still needs surgery? Lin Yi said, I heard it, so I transferred an extra 50,000. Thank you. Tang Yun's tears flowed down her eyes. This was the first time she'd felt so happy that she wanted to cry. She didn't even say it, but he'd already said it for her. Was he really a gift from the heavens? All of a sudden, Tang Yun had the urge to spend the rest of her life with him. She felt that she had found the happiness that belonged to her, on the eve of her 18th and 19th birthday. It was a feeling of being cared for, protected, and held in the palm of one's hand. This moment of happiness was unforgettable. Tang Yun's hand was shaking as she held the phone. She gathered her courage and kissed the phone. All right, this is for today, I still owe you one. I'll return it to you when I'm free. With that, Tang Yun quickly hung up the phone. Her body was burning up, and her body was soaked in sweat. Phew! Tang Yun let out a long sigh of relief. She was embarrassed by her bold actions just now. She didn't dare to go back into the house immediately, afraid that her mother and the others would notice. She could only stand in the yard and calm herself down. A mosquito flew by, wanting to bite Tang Yun's fair skin. Tang Yun was so angry that she swung out her palm, wanting to kill the mosquito. Lin Yi, you're so annoying. Why are you so nice to me? I'll slap you to death. Mrs. Tang saw that Tang Yun went to the yard and didn't come back for a long time, so she told Wei to go check on his sister. Wei had just walked out of the house when he heard Tang Yun baring her fangs and claws, saying that she wanted to slap Lin Yi to death. Wei jumped as he looked at his sister. Is brother-in-law a masochist? He's so nice to you, and you want to slap him to death? What do you know, you brat? Tang Yun didn't think that Wei would come out and hear her. She was embarrassed. Hurry up and go back. Oh, I get it. Hitting is affection, scolding is love. Dan always says that too. Wei nodded in realization. Tang Yun was so embarrassed that she wanted to find a hole to hide in. Wei happily went back with Dan. Mrs. Tang had already promised them that she would go get the money for them the next morning. Wei, naturally, pushed the matter of selling his kidney away. In a villa on the outskirts of Songshan City, a man with tattoos all over his body received a phone call. He ran to a young man. We agreed to sell our kidneys, but that kid went back on his word. What? He went back on his words. The young man called when bro frowned. What are you doing? You can't even do such a simple thing. If the Fire Wolf gang gets angry, Even my father won't be able to bear the consequences. The supply of kidneys has decreased a lot recently. If this continues, my brother's supply will far surpass us. When bro, I don't want to either. But no one is selling their kidneys anymore. People are smarter now. They won't sell their kidneys unless they need money. The tattooed man explained carefully. Are you stupid? How many kidneys could there be in such a scattered manner? When I was studying abroad, I saw a large-scale kidney trafficking organization there. If no one is selling, why don't you find someone else to do it? When bro scolded. When bro, isn't this a bit too cruel? If we get targeted by the police, we'll be in big trouble. The tattooed man was shocked when he heard When bro's suggestion. Even when de bro was here, he didn't dare to be this reckless. De bro your ass. My When bro is in charge now. Don't talk about my brother all the time. When bro sneered. If he didn't trick people to sell their kidneys on a large scale, would the supply of kidneys in Songsan be so tight now? Yes. Yes. The tattooed man accidentally blurted it out. He then remembered that although Brother Der and Brother Wen were biological brothers, they were in a competitive relationship. If you're afraid of the police, why don't you catch those beggars and homeless people? As long as they don't die, no one will care. When bro said in disdain. Who's the underground boss of Songsan? Contact him, I'll pay him a visit. The underground boss of Songsan is Li Zihua, but he doesn't make the decisions. His boss is in the provincial capital. I don't know who he is, but I heard that he's quite powerful. The tattooed man introduced. When bro, are you going to visit him tonight? Chapter 346. An uninvited guest. Yes. The tattooed guy nodded respectfully. When bro, where are you going tonight? Can I give you a ride? No need, I have some private stuff to do today. When bro waved his hand. Don't follow me. Yes, when bro. I'll get you a car then. The tattooed guy asked carefully. Well, drive that Ferrari sports car out for me. Brother Wen ordered. Tonight, however, there was an uninvited guest in Meng Yao's villa. The doorbell rang, and it was Meng Yao, who was upstairs lecturing Yushu. She was very displeased with Yushu for running around naked in the house. Shu, you're 19 already, you can't do that anymore. Do you understand? I understand, Yao Yao. Yushu nodded with a smile. Look at you, you're all smiles whenever I talk about you, but in the end, that big bad guy Lin Yi has it easy. Meng Yao glared at Lin Yi. Be careful not to let him take nude photos of you. Let's see what you'll do then. Oh. Yao Yao, someone's ringing the doorbell downstairs. Should we go take a look? Yushu changed the topic again. What's there to look at? There's Lin Yi running errands for us. What's the rush? Meng Yao didn't think much of it. Oh. It must be Forbert delivering food. I'm hungry, let's go downstairs. Yushu held her stomach, looking like she was about to faint. I'm starving. Meng Yao shook her head and pulled Yushu downstairs. Lin Yi heard someone ringing the doorbell, so he walked out of his room to open the door. He paused when he reached the yard, because it wasn't Forbert, nor was it someone he knew. It was that Jen Wen he met at the theme park the other day. Jen Wen? Lin Yi blinked. Why was he here? Jen Wen, on the other hand, saw that it was Lin Yi who'd come out to open the door. He was at Meng Yao's house. This gave Jen Wen a bad premonition. He and Meng Yao had progressed to the point where they were living together. And in Meng Yao's villa. Did Pengzhan know about all of this? On the surface, however, Jen Wen was still smiling warmly. He wouldn't reveal his true feelings. Oh, isn't this Mr. Lin Yi? What a coincidence, you're here too? I live here. Lin Yi glanced at him and said faintly. How could Lin Yi not hear this guy's probing tone? What a coincidence. As expected, Jian Wen's expression froze. He already had a bad feeling about this, but he was still hoping for luck. Now, he was absolutely certain that Lin Yi lived here. Jian Wen clenched his fists. He'd only been abroad for 3 years, and someone else was already there. The former 4 young masters of Pine Mountain had been stolen just like that. Haha, so you're living with Yao Yao now, Mr. Lin. Jian Wen felt like his heart was bleeding. Even if he won against Lin Yi, he'd still be marrying a second-hand woman. Are you here to check on me? Lin Yi frowned. Why did this guy have so much to say? What do you want? It's like this. You and Yarrow Yarrow saved me that day, so I came to thank you. Jian Wen forced down the unhappiness in his heart and smiled as he raised the gift in his hand to Lin Yi. Look, I still have something. Let me in first. Lin Yi smiled coldly in his heart. Thank you. You probably didn't even know I lived here a minute ago. What are you thanking me for? You're here to pick up girls, so why are you being so fake? But Lin Yi didn't expose him. What the guy was here for didn't have much to do with him. Lin Yi opened the door and let Jian Wen in. I wonder if Mr. Chu is home? Jian Wen asked again after entering the room. Who are you here for? Lin Yi looked at Jian Wen with disdain. Uncle Chu doesn't live here. Go to the company if you're looking for him. Oh, he doesn't live here anymore. Jian Wen really did want to ask where Peng Zhan was. After all, Peng Zhan used to live with Meng Yarrow before he left the country. Lin Yi ignored him and entered the villa first, letting Jian Wen follow him. As for the gift in Jian Wen's hand, Lin Yi wasn't in the mood to take it. It didn't matter who it was for. Meng Yarrow and Yu Shu had come downstairs by now, surprised to see Jian Wen behind Lin Yi. Jian Wen bro, why are you here? Meng Yarrow didn't like Jian Wen very much. Jian Wen didn't feel like the boy next door anymore. There was an indescribable dark aura around him that made Meng Yarrow uncomfortable. Haha, I really have to thank you and Mr. Lin at the theme park last time. I'm here to thank you, Jian Wen said with a smile as he placed the gift on the coffee table in the living room. It was all foreign nourishment products, and it didn't look like something for young people. Lin Yi guessed that this guy might be here to visit Peng Zhan, but Peng Zhan didn't live here anymore. Jian Wen bro, when did you become so fake? You wouldn't have done this before. Meng Yarrow said faintly. She felt that the distance between her and Jian Wen was getting bigger and bigger. They weren't like siblings anymore. You're telling me that you're going to do nothing if I'm sick? Haha, that's because I'm too old-fashioned. Jian Wen felt that he hadn't thought things through. He didn't even know where Peng Zhan lived before coming here. These things weren't suitable for Meng Yarrow, but it was even more inappropriate to take them back. But these are things I brought back from abroad. It's fresh. Oh. Yarrow Yarrow, these things are worth a lot, right? Why don't we sell them? Yu Shu asked curiously as she looked at the gifts on the coffee table. Shu. Meng Yarrow glared at her. Even if you didn't like Jian Wen, you still had to give him some face, right? Jian Wen's mouth twitched. He was completely helpless against Yu Shu. He couldn't piss her off, and she was Meng Yao's best friend. He didn't dare piss her off. Hee hee. Yu Shu giggled, ignoring Jian Wen as she turned on the TV. The atmosphere in the villa turned cold all of a sudden. You guys talk, I'm going back to my room. Lin Yi stood up and walked to his room. Talking to this Jian Wen was a waste of time. Chapter 347. Image collapse. Lin Yi really wanted to yell at him. What the hell did it have to do with you where I lived? But this was Meng Yao's villa, and Lin Yi gave the miss some face. He looked at Jian Wen and ignored him. Meng Yarrow, naturally, knew what Jian Wen wanted to know, but couldn't be bothered to answer the question. But Jian Wen, evidently, didn't have any self-awareness. He continued asking after Lin Yi didn't reply. Yarrow Yarrow, don't you guys sleep together at night? Meng Yarrow frowned, but Yu Shu spoke up first. I sleep with Yarrow Yarrow. Jian Wen almost teared up at Yu Shu's words. He wanted to say, good person, really good person. Shu, Jian Wen bro has known you for so many years, and you've finally said something that makes Jian Wen bro happy. You're just too good. Jian Wen knew that his questions were a bit inappropriate, but he had to understand the relationship between Lin Yi and Meng Yarrow. This was related to his love, after all. He couldn't be careless. Haha, so you're saying that Mr. Lin isn't your boyfriend? Jian Wen could see something from Meng Yao's attitude towards Lin Yi. He felt that Lin Yi didn't seem like Meng Yao's boyfriend at all. Meng Yarrow frowned. Jian Wen bro, what do you want to know? Meng Yarrow was getting annoyed as well. Wasn't he just trying to confirm her relationship with Lin Yi? Then I'll just tell him and let him leave as soon as he understands. Didn't Shu tell you very clearly last time? The more Meng Yaro said, the more confused Jen Wen got. Where did this Lin Yi come from? Was he really Meng Yao's boyfriend or not? To be honest, Jen Wen didn't really believe Yu Shu's words. After all, the girl didn't even bat an eyelid when it came to lying. She said something about bodyguard and shield last time, and that had a lot of different meanings. Jen Wen didn't have the time to think about it last time at the theme park restaurant, but the way Meng Yaro and Lin Yi looked at each other and didn't seem like a couple at all. So, Yu Shu was saying that Lin Yi was just Meng Yao's bodyguard? Or was it a shield to drive away those suitors? The more Jen Wen thought about it, the more plausible it seemed. He wanted to pay a visit and get some information from Pengzhan, but Pengzhan wasn't here. He could only start from the person in question. Hehe, I'm just asking casually. I don't have any other intentions. I'm just helping you check on him. Jen Wen smiled. You're my lil sis, of course I'll help you take a look at your boyfriend. Oh, then take a look. Meng Yaro was very annoyed. Jen Wen hadn't been this annoying before, so why was he so impatient after coming back from abroad? Meng Yaro could feel that Jen Wen had feelings for her before, but Jen Wen had never been this impatient before. Of course, Meng Yaro misunderstood Jen Wen. Jen Wen was impatient because he saw his love rival. There weren't any suitors around Meng Yaro that could be a rival, so Jen Wen wasn't impatient at all. He thought that Meng Yaro would be his sooner or later, and it didn't matter if it was sooner or later. But now, it was different. Lin Yi's appearance had completely messed up Jen Wen's plans. He couldn't help but panic. From the looks of it, Lin Yi and Meng Yaro didn't have a deep relationship yet. If he didn't panic now, wouldn't he be giving up? Haha, all right. If that's the case, I'll invite Mr. Lin Yi out for dinner tomorrow night. I want to thank him for saving my life, and I also want to help you check on him, Jen Wen said. Yaro Yao, what do you think? Give your guy a break. He can go if he wants, what does it have to do with me? Meng Yaro said nonchalantly. All right, I'll go talk to him. Jen Wen heard Meng Yao's words and felt relieved. Meng Yaro didn't care about Lin Yi at all. It meant that the two weren't as close as he thought. With that, Jen Wen stood up and walked towards Lin Yi's room. He knocked on the door, and Lin Yi opened it to see Jen Wen. What do you need? Haha, it's like this. Are you free tomorrow night? I'll treat you to dinner to express my gratitude. Jen Wen smiled as he patted Lin Yi's shoulder. What do you think, Mr. Lin? Do me the honor. You're treating me to dinner? Lin Yi looked at Jen Wen like he was an idiot. Do you have too much money to burn? I'm not going. Jen Wen was a little embarrassed by Lin Yi's words. Mr. Lin, Yaro agreed to it. Are you saying that because you're afraid that she won't? That was what he said, but Jen Wen was feeling a little disdainful inside. Who the hell was this guy? Trying to steal Meng Yaro from me? If I don't show you what I'm capable of, you country bumpkin wouldn't know your place. Oh. The miss agreed. Lin Yi paused and looked at Meng Yaro. She nodded at him. Lin Yi had no choice but to say, all right, tomorrow then. Where are we eating? Meng Yaro actually didn't want Lin Yi to eat with Jen Wen. Whether they ate or not had nothing to do with Meng Yaro. The problem was that she was really annoyed with Jen Wen. He kept asking questions in front of her. She might as well let him ask Lin Yi tomorrow. She needed to leave as soon as possible. She still needed to rest. Tomorrow night at 6, I'll wait for you here on time. We'll decide on the location tomorrow. Jen Wen was even more confused. This Lin Yi didn't seem like someone who took orders from others. Why did he agree without a second thought when Meng Yaro asked him to go? Could it be that this guy was really just a bodyguard and not Meng Yao's boyfriend? At that thought, Jen Wen felt that it was very possible. Yu Shu's words couldn't be trusted, and Lin Yi might really have nothing to do with Meng Yaro. Oh, okay. Lin Yi nodded. If this guy wanted to treat, then so be it. He'd eat his way out of the house tomorrow. How about I bring a brother with me? Sure, no problem. Jen Wen nodded, agreeing to it. After getting Lin Yi's answer, Jen Wen was satisfied. Meng Yarrow, on the other hand, had to walk him to the door out of politeness. She sighed in relief after Jen Wen left. "You're asking me to eat with him tomorrow?" Lin Yi asked. He felt that Meng Yarrow was acting a little strange. Chapter 348. Just who was her brother? Jen Wen was making Meng Yarrow feel really bored and confused right now. Who was Lin Yi? That was her personal business. What did it have to do with him? Checking up on her? Did she need him checking up on her? Geez, I thought you had some ulterior motive for asking me to eat with him. Lin Yi was a little speechless. I shouldn't have said yes if I'd known. Well, it's fine. You go teach him a lesson tomorrow. He's been an eyesore for a long time now. Yushu raised her fist. He's nothing much, but he's so cocky, thinking that the Songshan young master title's something. Isn't he just picking the biggest one out of the bunch? Shu, your brother's the head of the Songshan young masters, Meng Yarrow said as she looked at Yushu, speechless. My brother? I don't think he's as strong as Shield Bro. He can't even handle that Lingshan girl. One word from Shield Bro and that Song girl's so obedient. Yushu said excitedly at the mention of Lingshan. Shu, why do I get the feeling that Yutian isn't your real brother, but Lin Yi is? Meng Yarrow frowned. Her best friend couldn't have fallen for Lin Yi, could she? She was talking about Lin Yi every time she opened her mouth, getting touched, kissed, and hugged by him, and she didn't feel any disgust towards him at all. Was Shu falling for him? Hee. Of course he's my real brother. I admire him a lot, but he's just too weak in front of women. Wouldn't Song girl give in to him if he were a little tougher? Yushu said with a smile, not caring at all. Shu, you're a girl too. Do you want to be a strict husband in the future? Or do you have masochistic tendencies? Meng Yarrow said. She was a girl, but she was speaking up for a man. What kind of logic was that? Aya, Yarrow, I just want Shield Bro to break that Jian Wen's spirit tomorrow, Yushu said. Oh, I misspoke, Jian Wen Bro. Lin Yi ignored the two girls and yawned before going back to his room to sleep. Shield Bro, I support you. I'll wait for your good news tomorrow night, Yushu called out. Shu, you know Jian Wen's family background. You're just causing trouble for Lin Yi. Meng Yarrow frowned helplessly. He's not Zhong Pingliang, not someone Lin Yi can deal with easily. What if something happens to Lin Yi if you drag him into this? Meng Yarrow may have been indifferent towards Lin Yi on the surface, even a little disgusted, but she wasn't an unreasonable person. Plus, she didn't hate Lin Yi living in this house anymore. Naturally, she wouldn't cause trouble for him. Although her father had kept it a secret from her and didn't tell her what Lin Yi had been up to these past 2 days, she still knew a little about the crisis her father was facing. Lin Yi had solved it all quietly, so how could she cause more trouble for him? Yarrow, are you worried? Yushu's eyebrows and eyes turned into crescents as she smiled at Meng Yarrow. My heart aches. Why would I? Meng Yarrow hemphed. He's our follower, and now that he's pissed off Jian Wen, of course we'll have to protect him when Jian Wen comes looking for trouble. So if you let him go looking for trouble, you'll be looking for trouble for us. Oh, it's fine. I'll deal with Jian Wen Bro next time. Yushu took it all on. She was quite good at dealing with Jian Wen. Alright, let's go to sleep. Meng Yarrow yawned as well. It was already past 10, and Jian Wen had been dawdling for more than an hour. Meng Yarrow was tired to death. The next day, when Lin Yi saw Kang Xiaobo, the kid was overjoyed. Boss, you're back. I was afraid that you wouldn't make it to my second grandpa's birthday party. I won't, I said 2 days, so it's 2 days. It's only Thursday, there's still a few days left. Right, is it Saturday or Sunday? Lin Yi asked. Sunday, but it's not in the city. We'll leave early on Saturday. My second grandpa's house is in Donghai, Kang Xiaobo said. Alright, we'll leave Saturday afternoon then. Lin Yi nodded. Right, how's Fen? She can leave the hospital now. Her body was too weak due to malnutrition. I'm going to get her discharged this afternoon, Kang Xiaobo said. My parents are coming with me on Saturday, and I don't know how to tell them about Fen. I don't know if they'll accept it. I don't think that's important. What's important is what you think. Lin Yi waved his hand. Xiaobo, do you really like Fen? Tell me the truth. Kang Xiaobo hesitated. Nonsense. Why would I ask you if you don't tell me the truth? Lin Yi glared at him. To be honest, when I first saw her picture, I was just moved. After all, it's normal to want to pursue a beautiful girl. Kang Xiaobo scratched his head in embarrassment. Just like how I used to like Tang Yun, Chu Mengyaro, and Chen Yushu. But I know that it's just a fantasy. None of them will like me. If it wasn't for you, Tang Yun might not even recognize me now. I liked Fen. At first, I sympathized with her because she's too pitiful and lovable. So, I couldn't help but want to give her more care and love. It's just that after a long time, I went to the hospital every day to accompany her, talk to her, and eat with her. I gradually got used to this feeling. If I don't see her for a day, I'll miss her. I think I can confirm that I like her. Do you like her or love her? Lin Yi asked. Is there a difference? Kang Xiaobo shook his head blankly. Maybe there's a difference. Lin Yi sighed. He used to like a girl, the kind that he liked very much. She was Xiaoning. People say that you can sacrifice anything for love. So, Lin Yi sometimes thought that his feelings for Xiaoning couldn't be considered love. But if it wasn't love, why would he always think of her? Was it the rules of the industry that restricted him? He had to abide by his professional ethics, or he didn't have the courage to take that step. Maybe it was both. Or, he couldn't give Xiaoning the life she wanted. At least, he couldn't give it back then. But now, Lin Yi shook his head. Although he knew that escaping wasn't the solution, he had chosen to escape all these years. It was even more impossible for Lin Yi to take that step. Chapter 349. Tang Yun's treat. There are two ways. Lin Yi's thoughts were pulled back to reality by Kang Xiaobo's words. He shook his head, not wanting to think about those things anymore. At the very least, there was a huge disparity between his status and Xiaoning's. Although he had 100 million and a share of Pengzhan Industries, it was nothing compared to Xiaoning's family background. What way? Kang Xiaobo was overjoyed. First, you tell them the truth and try to get their understanding. Lin Yi said. I don't think that's possible. Kang Xiaobo's face was bitter. I wouldn't be worried if I could convince them. Second, don't say that Xiaofen is your girlfriend. Just say that she's your classmate. I won't bring Tang Yun, and Xiaofen will come with me. They won't suspect anything then. Lin Yi said. That's a good idea, but if Tang Yun doesn't go, can Xiaofen go? Kang Xiaobo was hesitant. That depends on what you tell Xiaofen. Lin Yi patted Kang Xiaobo's shoulder. Let's go to the classroom. Pin Liang was very depressed today. He knew that his uncle had left Pengzhan Industries, and he didn't know how he felt about his uncle's failure. Was it disappointment, or was it something else? Pin Liang realized that he was even a little excited. Subconsciously, he didn't want Pengzhan's position to be taken away by his uncle. If that happened, even if he got Mengyaro, House Zhong would just be his uncle's subsidiary. But now, if he got Mengyaro, House Zhong would soar. Mengyaro was Pengzhan's only daughter, and he would become his only son-in-law. How could he not transfer some of the shares to him? And so, thinking about his bright future, Pin Liang was filled with hope and fighting spirit. However, he didn't know where to start. He couldn't write the letter of blood. Every time he wrote it, he would lose a lot of blood. If this continued, he would lose too much blood and faint. Xiaofu, on the other hand, didn't dare come up with any random ideas. Pin Liang had asked him a couple of times, but Xiaofu kept saying that he'd think of something else. The two of them sank into depression once more, and it seemed like they wouldn't be harassing Mengyaro again until they came up with a plan. During the last class of the morning, Lin Yi received a message from Tang Yun asking him what he was doing at noon. Lin Yi replied with a text message telling her that he had nothing to do at noon and asked if she was busy. Tang Yun replied after a while. Wanna go to the cafeteria together? Ha! Lin Yi couldn't help but smile as he looked at Tang Yun's message. Did Tang Yun finally open up to him? Did he take the initiative to ask me out for a meal? Although part of it was because of the 200,000 yuan yesterday, if Tang Yun didn't accept him from the bottom of her heart, she wouldn't take the initiative to ask him out for a meal. Tang Yun wanted to borrow money, and he believed that as long as she asked, there would be a lot of rich secret admirers in the school who would take the initiative to ask her out. At noon, Kang Xiaobo was going to the hospital to handle the discharge procedures for Xiaofan. He also wanted to talk about going to the birthday party this weekend. Lin Yi, on the other hand, accepted Tang Yun's invitation and came to the shade of a tree next to the field. Tang Yun didn't want to wait in front of the cafeteria, so she asked Lin Yi to wait here. This was the place where the two of them had their first date. It wasn't really a date, but Tang Yun had some special feelings for this place. It was also at that time that Lin Yi held her hand and announced in front of Zhu Ruoming and Wang Jifeng that she was his woman. Tang Yun was a bit nervous. She held the meal card in her hand and couldn't sit still. The 5th class in the morning was a test. Tang Yun handed in her paper first and waited under the tree. She waited for a long time, but she didn't see Lin Yi. Tang Yun looked at her phone. Could it be that Lin Yi sent her a text and she didn't receive it? But it didn't seem possible. Just as Tang Yun was getting anxious, she saw a boy running towards her. Tang Yun smiled and waved at Lin Yi. If it was before, Tang Yun wouldn't dare to do something like this in school. The school rules were very strict. But now, the school rules were useless in front of Tang Yun. Wang Jifeng didn't even care about her and Lin Yi. What was there for her to be afraid of? Tang Yun even had a little rebellious in her heart. She had been a good student for so many years, and she could finally let loose like those bad students. Did you wait long? Lin Yi saw a layer of sweat on Tang Yun's forehead. It was obvious that she had waited for a while. Not really. The last class was a test, so I handed in my paper first. Tang Yun said shyly as she combed her hair. Then why didn't you text me? I would have come out earlier. He'd gotten used to skipping class. The dean had already given him a warning, and the teachers of the other subjects didn't bother with him, thinking that he was some rich young master who was here to kill time. It's fine. Tang Yun shook her head. I'll treat you. You treat me? Lin Yi looked at Tang Yun, surprised. Don't look at me like that. I can only treat you to the cafeteria. Tang Yun raised the cafeteria card in her hand. All the money at home was used for my dad's surgery. Although there might be some left over, it's hard to say if we still need money in the future. So, if you want me to treat you to a big meal, we'll have to wait until I earn my own money. No, my cafeteria card has a lot of money in it. It's the same if you use mine. It'll be a waste if you don't eat. Lin Yi took out the card from his pocket and gave it to Tang Yun. How's uncle's condition? Tang Jucheng's problem was with his bones, and he needed surgery. Although Lin Yi was good at acupuncture and medicine, he couldn't perform surgery for Tang Jucheng on behalf of the hospital. Why are you giving me your card? Tang Yun paused. My mom took my dad to the hospital early in the morning. He should be in the hospital now. But he's been checked regularly, and is just waiting for surgery. I don't usually eat at the cafeteria, and I'll eat with you in the future, so I'm giving you my card, Lin Yi said. Is there anything I can help with at the hospital? I don't think so. Tang Yun shook her head, her eyes red. Lin Yi, thank you. I don't know how I can thank you. Tang Yun was really touched. Lin Yi didn't take the opportunity to threaten her, and he didn't make things difficult for her either. Why are you saying this? Lin Yi held Tang Yun's hand. Let's go eat. Yin, you don't know how crowded the wards are. If you don't know anyone, you'll have to sleep in the hallway. You don't want your dad to sleep in the hallway, do you? Mrs. Tang heard about Lin Yi asking for a ward for Xiaofan. Also, I want to find an orthopedic doctor for your dad's surgery, but his schedule is up. He only does 2 surgeries a week. It's already booked for the second half of the year. Can you talk to Lin Yi and ask him to cut the queue for your dad? Tang Yun sighed in her heart. She didn't want to trouble Lin Yi anymore, but her mother was telling the truth. She wouldn't have to worry about finding a good doctor to operate on her dad. Lin Yi was very close to Tang Yun. When she answered the phone, he smelled the fragrance on her white neck. It made Tang Yun uncomfortable. She wanted to push Lin Yi away to stop him, but her mother's words distracted Tang Yun. She forgot to scold Lin Yi. However, Lin Yi heard Mrs. Tang's words clearly. Before Tang Yun could say anything, Lin Yi took Tang Yun's phone. "I'll talk to Auntie." Tang Yun knew that Lin Yi heard it. If he picked up the phone, it meant that he was willing to help. She couldn't help but look at Lin Yi gratefully. "Auntie, I'm Lin Yi. I heard what you said." Lin Yi smiled. "It's nothing. It's not a problem." Tang Yin blushed a little. She was talking to her mother on the phone, and Lin Yi overheard their conversation. How close was she to Lin Yi? Her mother wouldn't think too much, right? In fact, Mrs. Tang thought too much. She thought that her daughter and Lin Yi were hugging each other. However, she didn't reprimand her daughter. Instead, she was even happier. Mrs. Tang was extremely satisfied with Lin Yi. Hearing Lin Yi agree, she was immediately happy. "That's great. Lin, I'll wait for your good news." "Okay, I'll make a call now. Tell me the name of the chief physician." Lin Yi smiled. The hospital room wasn't a problem. Fen was going to be discharged today. He could just give the room to Tang Jucheng. "The chief physician is called Xu Tianda," Mrs. Tang said. "If it doesn't work, we can find the deputy chief physician." "Okay, I'll try." He ended the call with Mrs. Tang and called Guan Shuamin, not bothering with pleasantries. Guan Shuamin made a note of Xu Tianda's name, agreeing to it without hesitation. "Okay, it's done," Lin Yi said to Tang Yun. "You can call your mother now." "Okay, thank you." Tang Yun didn't know what to say. What else could she say other than thank him? "Don't thank me next time. It feels distant. Let's meet Grandpa Guan on Sunday." "Right, Guan Xin's grandfather," Lin Yi said. "Ah, Guan Xin's grandfather?" Tang Yun didn't know why, but she felt a little disappointed. Thinking about the relationship between Guan Xin and Lin Yi, Tang Yun felt a little jealous. Was this jealousy? Tang Yun shook her head. She didn't think that she would feel jealous one day. Tang Yun's phone rang again before she could call her mother. She picked it up and heard her mother's excited voice. "Yin, it's done. You don't know, but Dean Chin arranged it himself. Director Xu said that he'll arrange an additional surgery next Monday." Chapter 351. A short period of silence. "Yin, what's wrong? Why don't you look happy?" A mother knew her daughter's mood. Mrs. Tang immediately noticed that something was wrong with Tang Yin's voice. "It's nothing." Tang Yin shook her head. "Mom, can you handle the paperwork for Dad first? I'll go see you guys after school tonight." "Alright, go eat with Lin then. It's already 12, you guys better eat before you starve." Mrs. Tang didn't ask much as she hung up and happily went with Dean Chin to handle the paperwork. Wang Xueming had spoken to Mrs. Tang about the medical fees. Naturally, Mrs. Tang was exempted from the medical fees, and Dean Chin was given some benefits within the scope of his duties. "What's wrong? Are you unhappy?" Lin Yi glanced at Tang Yun and smiled. No. Tang Yin, naturally, wouldn't admit what she was thinking. "Let's go eat." Lin Yi and Tang Yun arrived at the cafeteria. There were a lot of people in the cafeteria, and it was very noisy. But those who saw Lin Yi automatically made a path for them. Lin Yi had already surpassed the Big Four in school. Pin Liang and Zhu Ruoming had been beaten up so badly that they didn't even dare fight back. Who would dare mess with someone like that? Tang Yin ordered 2 vegetable dishes and a meat dish, along with half a kilo of rice. The two found a table and sat down. There were already 2 students eating at the table, but when they saw Lin Yi, they quickly gulped down their food and moved away. Lin Yi was speechless. He didn't think that his notoriety would reach this point. In fact, Lin Yi hadn't done anything bad, nor was he a bully like Zhu Ruoming. All he did was teach Zhu Ruoming and Pin Liang a lesson. He didn't do anything else, did he? Tang Yin put the food on the table and realized that she'd been in too much of a rush. There were a lot of people in the line, so she just ordered half a kilo of rice. It was a little hard to eat now. Tang Yin wanted to get another bowl, but was afraid that Lin Yi would think that she didn't like eating with him. She was hesitating when Lin Yi spoke up. "Let's eat together. You don't mind, do you?" "Yeah. Tang Yin shook her head. Since Lin Yi said that, she couldn't go get another bowl. She was a little shy, but she still agreed. Tang Yin carefully ate the other side of the rice, feeling countless eyes on her. There were couples eating in the cafeteria, but very few dared to eat a plate of rice in public. Lin Yi and Tang Yin didn't think about eating a plate of rice before. It was only because of their carelessness that they ended up in this situation. In fact, there weren't many students who dared to look at him directly. Who would want to mess with him? If they looked at him for too long and he misunderstood that they were interested in Tang Yin, it wouldn't be worth it to get beaten up. Tang Yin didn't have a big appetite. She ate a little and was full. She quickly put down her chopsticks and looked around. Seeing that no one was looking, she let out a sigh of relief. But now, it wasn't a matter of whether she hated Lin Yi or not. It was a matter of whether Lin Yi hated her or not. She didn't eat much and was already full. The rest of the rice would be Lin Yi's. He must eat the part that she ate. Did this count as an indirect kiss? Tang Yin felt like she had a little white rabbit in her arms. She jumped up and down. She was a little shy, but also a little excited. She thought about what she said on the phone last night. She still owed him a kiss. In what form and in what way would this kiss be given to him? Back in the hospital, Lin Yi only asked Tang Yin to kiss his face. But now that their relationship was a step closer, would he kiss her on the mouth? Tang Yin didn't dare to think about it, but she didn't feel any repulsion. She used to feel disgusted when she saw the male and female characters kissing. If a man kissed her on the mouth, she would feel disgusted. But now, she didn't feel like vomiting. Instead, she was looking forward to it. Lin Yi was afraid that Tang Yin wouldn't have enough to eat, so he ate very slowly. But after Tang Yin finished eating, he cleaned up everything on the table. Tang Yin was stunned. Are you full? Tang Yin didn't think that Lin Yi had such a big appetite. He didn't look fat, but he ate so much. I'm full, Lin Yi nodded. Then, let's go back to class. Tang Yin didn't want to leave Lin Yi like this. Let's walk around the field. Lin Yi stood up and picked up the plates. He walked out of the cafeteria with Tang Yin and left the plates at the door. The bright afternoon sun made Tang Yin squint her eyes. She put her hand in front of her forehead to block the sunlight. She looked at the students playing on the field. She felt a sense of happiness. She met Lin Yi when she was about to leave the school. Tang Yin wanted to cheer, but there was a sense of unease in her heart. It was as if Lin Yi didn't belong to her. The happiness in front of her was short-lived. In her daze, a big hand grabbed onto Tang Yin's. Tang Yin came back to her senses. She hesitated for a moment before grabbing onto the big hand. Which university do you want to go to? This was the first time Tang Yin worried about their future. She was afraid that this happiness would disappear in the blink of an eye. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. Lin Yi shook his head. He would go wherever Meng Yaro went. There was no doubt about that. He smiled to make Tang Yin feel at ease. I'll go wherever you go. Yeah. Tang Yin smiled as she welcomed the sunlight. Her heart was finally at ease, but she was still worried. What if one of us doesn't get enough points? We can spend money. Lin Yi shrugged. Your worries are unnecessary. Nouveau riche, Tang Yin said with a smile, but she was happy that Lin Yi was taking her seriously. The two of them walked under the shade of the tree and found a stone step to sit down. Tang Yin seemed to have a special liking for the shade. She always liked to come here. She supported her chin with her hand and enjoyed the peace. Lin Yi stretched lazily and stayed by Tang Yin's side quietly. But, this brief moment of peace, someone wanted to destroy it. Chapter 352. Does she like you? Yarrow Yarrow, let's go sit under the shade for a bit. Yushu suggested with a naughty smile. What for? Watch that Lin Yi hit on girls. Meng Yarrow frowned as she looked at Lin Yi and Tang Yun sitting together. She didn't like it at all. It was daytime, wasn't it? It was a work day too, and you're messing around with the school beauty instead of being my follower. She and Shu were both school beauties, so why did this guy only have eyes for Tang Yun? She was his boss, the miss. Even if he had a crush on someone, it should be her first. Meng Yaro felt like she had been wronged. Was she that unattractive? Meng Yaro didn't even care if he liked her or not, but the fact that he was ignoring her and going after another girl pissed her off. It was a blatant disregard. Even if he didn't like her, couldn't he just go for Shu? Why did he have to go for Tang Yun? Although, one had to admit that Lin Yi and Tang Yun in their school uniform really did look like a couple from afar. Perhaps they were a couple after all. Heh, let's see how he hits on girls, we'll learn from him. Shu nodded. Shu, we're girls, we can't hit on girls. Our sexual orientation is fine, otherwise we'd be a couple a long time ago. Meng Yaro looked at Shu speechlessly. Oh, let's go see Tang Yun then, let's learn how to hit on handsome guys. Shu was just finding an excuse to keep Meng Yaro company to satisfy her curiosity. Is Lin Yi a handsome guy? Do I even need to hit on him? Meng Yaro curled her lips. I don't like him at all. But, she still walked towards Lin Yi with Shu despite her words. Lin Yi couldn't help but smile bitterly when he saw the two misses walking towards him. These two girls were probably here to cause trouble, and it seemed like Shu had tricked Meng Yaro into coming here. With her personality, there was no way she'd get involved in something like this. Yaro sis, the shade here is very cool. Shu pulled Meng Yaro to the steps under the tree, but the steps were occupied by Lin Yi and Tang Yun. Shu didn't have a place to sit. Hey, Arrow. Move over a little, give me the shade. Shu almost said shield bro when she opened her mouth, but luckily she stopped herself in time. She couldn't expose her relationship with Lin Yi in front of outsiders, or Yaro would be pissed. Tang Yun was a little annoyed by Shu's overbearing words. We were under the tree first, why should we give it to you? But a few days ago when she went to see Lin Yi, Shu had asked her about it passionately, so Tang Yun didn't want to get angry. But Lin Yi didn't seem to hear anything, and didn't move an inch. Tang Yun, on the other hand, was starting to panic. Lin Yi's reputation had surpassed the Big Four, but even the Big Four didn't dare mess with Shu. Yao. Shield bro left. Shu had been watching Lin Yi the whole time. Let's leave then. Meng Yaro frowned as she looked at her MP4. Chapter 353. Chapter 353, The Misconcern After School. Lin Yi drove Tang Yun to the hospital before driving back to the villa. Jian Wen's car was already waiting outside the villa. Lin Yi parked the car in front of the villa and greeted Meng Yaro. Meng Yaro was the one who agreed to the dinner with Jian Wen tonight, so she didn't say anything. Meng Yaro spoke up suddenly when Lin Yi walked to the door. Don't drink so much, and don't go to those dirty places. Lin Yi paused. He didn't think that Meng Yaro would care about people. Her tone was commanding, but Lin Yi could hear the concern in her voice. It's nothing, do whatever you want. Meng Yaro turned her head away, ignoring Lin Yi. Meng Yaro could vaguely guess what Jian Wen was planning to do. Meng Yaro didn't usually participate in the activities of these rich kids, but she had some understanding of their methods, especially with a little spy like Shu. She wasn't a stranger to what Jian Wen and his people were doing. This was also why Meng Yaro didn't have any other feelings for Jian Wen other than that of a sister. Drinking and playing with women all day, and now he wanted her as his girlfriend? Why? Don't worry, I'm actually a good girl. Lin Yi smiled and left the villa. Shield bro, you go teach those two a lesson. I'll cheer for you, make sure to embarrass them. Shu waved her fist. I'll try my best. Lin Yi nodded. Even if Shu didn't say anything, Lin Yi would have taught this annoying Jian Wen a lesson anyway. He didn't want him to bother him all the time. After Lin Yi left, Shu spoke up. Yao, I have some big news for you. Oh, what did you hear when you went out? Meng Yaro sent Shu out as a spy again. Lin Yi could sense her, but Jian Wen might not be able to. So, Shu heard everything Jian Wen said. Jian Wen bro and Tai Zhao bro said that they're going to order a chicken for Shield bro, and they're going to record it and mail it to your dad to ruin his reputation. Then you can break up with him, Shu said. Chicken. Meng Yaro blinked, Ordering a chicken? Only then did she realize that Yushu was using a demonstrative pronoun. She thought it was a dish from the restaurant. She blushed and said, "Shu, don't say such ugly words. Call her miss." "Oh, that's a prostitute." They went to find a prostitute for Shield Bro. Yushu nodded. "Yarrow Yarrow, do you think we should tell Shield Bro to be careful?" "No need. If he's that stupid to fall for it, he can only blame himself for being too perverted. It's just right for Daddy to fire him." Meng Yarrow hemphed, thinking that Jen Wen was really filthy. She wondered if Yushu's brother was the same as them in the past. Lin Yi walked out of the villa and saw a Porsche 911 behind Jian Wen's Ferrari. Beside the car was Su Taizao, the guy he met at the theme park restaurant the other day. Lin Yi didn't have a good impression of Taizao. The guy was yelling and screaming that day, and Lin Yi didn't like it at all. But now, the guy was all smiles as he greeted Lin Yi. "Mr. Lin Yi, it's nice to see you. Thank you for what you did for an bro that day." Lin Yi waved his hand and ignored him. Jian Wen walked up to him. "Bro Lin, I didn't expect you to be in the same class as Yarrow Yarrow." Jian Wen had already found out that Lin Yi was Meng Yao's classmate, so it was natural for him to call him Lil Bro Lin according to their age. "Ah, I guess so." Lin Yi nodded faintly. "Aren't we going to eat?" "That's right, let's go now. I've booked a room at Starlight Hotel, let's go now." Jian Wen introduced, worried that Lin Yi didn't know about it. Starlight Hotel is one of the most luxurious hotels in the city. We used to go there a lot. There's special services too. Taizao walked over as well, patting Lin Yi's shoulder like a family member, as if saying that they were both men, and they had a tacit understanding. "Is that so? I'll have to see it then." Lin Yi nodded, looking at them expectantly. He was smiling coldly inwardly. Meng Yarrow was right, these two were up to no good, trying to set a trap for him. Jian Wen breathed out in relief when he saw that Lin Yi didn't reject the idea. Taizao, on the other hand, was overjoyed. He was worried that Lin Yi wouldn't agree, but it'd be great if he did. There were plenty of programs, and he wasn't afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't be satisfied. "But, you'd have to pay a price for it after it's over." "Haha. Let's go now. Do you want to take my car?" Jian Wen pointed at his Ferrari. "It's fine, I'll drive myself." Lin Yi pointed at his broken van. "Ah." Jian Wen paused, not expecting Lin Yi to drive a broken van instead of a sports car. But since Lin Yi was willing, he didn't say anything. "Sure, it's more convenient if we have our own car." Jian Wen and Taizao got on the car and drove towards Starlight Hotel, with Lin Yi following behind. Starlight Hotel was one of the most luxurious hotels in Songshan, after all. It had dining, entertainment, karaoke, and nightclubs in one place. Just the parking lot alone was as big as a field. Jian Wen and Taizao drove the car into the parking lot, and Lin Yi followed them in, only to be stopped by a security guard. "Hey, delivery through the back door." The guard glared at Lin Yi. "Don't you know the rules? You're new, right? Delivery?" Lin Yi paused, knowing that the guard had misunderstood. He shook his head. "I'm here to eat." "Eat?" The guard paused at Lin Yi's words before laughing out loud. "You're driving this car to eat? Do you know what the lowest price is here? One meal is enough to buy this car of yours. All right, stop messing around, let's go. I'm really here to eat." Lin Yi didn't want to argue with this snobbish guard. "I don't care what the lowest price is here, someone's paying." "Someone's paying? Who'd treat you?" "All right, stop acting cool and get the fuck out. I've seen a lot of people like you, there's at least 8 or 10 of them every day, trying to steal something from the parking lot." The guard looked at Lin Yi with disdain. "Who'd treat you, unless they're retarded?" The 4th floor was where the best private rooms were, and above that was the entertainment center. The room was very spacious, and one could see the night view of the fountain not far from the hotel through the floor-to-ceiling windows. It was a very good location, and normal people wouldn't be able to get a room like this. "Brother Lin, please have a seat. Don't stand on ceremony." Jian Wen, on the other hand, seemed to have gotten used to the night view. He put his phone on the table and sat down. It's been a while since I've been to this room. It's been 3 years, right? Yeah, and bro. Back in the day, we Songshan young masters were so powerful. Even those little security guards are bullying us now. Tai Zhao said angrily. Haha, it's because Brother Lin's clothes are a little too simple, and the car's a little special. That's why that security guard looks down on you, Jian Wen said with a smile, intentionally mocking Lin Yi. Lin Yi, naturally, understood that Jian Wen was mocking him for being poor and not worthy of being with Meng Yao, but he didn't mind. The miss had sent him here today, and he wanted to teach these two a lesson for Yu Shu. Everything else was secondary. Plus, Lin Yi had even disguised himself as a beggar when he was on missions before. Why would he care about these looks? As a result, Lin Yi didn't mind the guard's words at all. Ha, that's true. Tai Zhao smiled, understanding what Jian Wen was getting at. Lil bro Lin, you need to get Yaro Yaro to buy you some good clothes, or you'll lose face if you go out like this. I did, but I'm not wearing it. Lin Yi said with a smile, naturally understanding what the two were trying to say. Meng Yaro did buy clothes for Lin Yi, but Lin Yi always wore his school uniform when he went to school. Tai Zhao, brother Lin, this is called keeping a low profile. What's the saying? Pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, Jian Wen explained with a smile. Yeah. Pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, keeping a low profile. Tai Zhao nodded. These two, naturally, were being sarcastic. As far as they were concerned, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to pretend to be a pig even if he wanted to. Lin Yi didn't explain. Laugh all you want, I'll make you cry later. Jian Wen joked with Lin Yi a couple of times, feeling a bit better. But he didn't dare make it too obvious, afraid that Lin Yi would get angry and leave. He didn't wait for Lin Yi to speak and raised his hand to call for the waiter to bring out the dishes. The dishes had been ordered beforehand, and Jian Wen had called the hotel to prepare them before he left Meng Yao's villa. So, after Jian Wen gave the order to the waiters, the delicacies were placed on the table one after another. Jian Wen secretly pressed the record button on his phone. He'd put his phone on the table intentionally, aiming the camera at Lin Yi to record the guy's embarrassing face. As far as Jian Wen was concerned, Lin Yi probably hadn't eaten all these delicacies before. If he really ate like this, he'd record it and use it as a joke. Of course, this wasn't the main point. The show he'd arranged was the main point. Brother Lin, don't be so courteous. There's only 3 of us, we don't have that many rules. Let's eat. Jian Wen raised his wine glass. Come, let me toast you. You saved my life last time, so I won't say any more thank yous word. It's nothing, and it's Yaro Yaro's orders, too. Lin Yi raised the glass in his hand and took a sip before putting it down and starting to eat. Chapter 355. Chapter 355, Finding an opportunity. Wait a bit, let's eat first. I'm hungry. Lin Yi waved his hand dismissively. All right then. Let's eat first then. Jian Wen thought that Lin Yi was probably really starved. School had just ended, and he hadn't had dinner yet. It wouldn't be too late to let him eat first. But Lin Yi's leisurely eating speed was driving Jian Wen crazy. He'd wanted to record Lin Yi wolfing down his food and make it a laughingstock, but Lin Yi was eating very elegantly. He ate quite a lot, but it was a very elegant feeling. Jian Wen had no choice but to give up on recording. Wasn't this just a waste of memory? What if he couldn't record Lin Yi when he was playing with a prostitute later? Lin Yi only took a sip of the red wine after he was done with his meal. He wiped his mouth. Not bad, the chefs at Starlight Hotel are really good, the food is really good. Of course this place wouldn't have become our base otherwise. Tai Zhao said proudly. Back in the day, us young masters of songs used to come here all the time. Brother Lin, we're full now. Should we start some activity? Jian Wen, on the other hand, was all smiles as he looked at Lin Yi. He thought that if the kid didn't leave after eating and drinking, he'd be treating him to a meal for nothing. He didn't even get a single word out of the kid. Oh, that's fine, but wait, I need to go to the washroom. Lin Yi turned around to leave the room. His phone was vibrating. It was probably Meng Yaro or Yushu calling. Lin Yi didn't want to answer it in front of Jian Wen and Tai Zhao. Isn't there a washroom in this room? Tai Zhao pointed at a small door in the room. I'm not used to sitting toilets. Lin Yi smiled. I ate too much, my stomach's a little uncomfortable. Haha, alright then, hurry up and come back soon. Tai Zhao smiled understandingly at Lin Yi's words. Some people were used to squatting and didn't like sitting down. It was normal. Lin Yi went to the washroom, and Jian Wen and Tai Zhao decided to discuss their next step. They wanted Lin Yi to find a prostitute and record the whole process. It didn't matter if he was Meng Yao's boyfriend or not, as long as they gave the video to Peng Zhan, he'd be done for. Lin Yi walked quickly to the washroom and picked up the phone. It was indeed Yushu. Shield bro, I'm asking you on behalf of Yaro Yaro. Yushu said seriously, have you found Miss yet? Hihi, not yet. Lin Yi smiled. I just finished eating. Sister Yaro Yaro said you're not allowed to look for her. If you do, don't come back. Meng Yao's voice came from the other side just as Yushu finished. Shu, what are you talking about? I didn't say that. Hey, Shield bro, did you teach those two a lesson? Yushu giggled. I didn't find a chance. Let's wait and see. Lin Yi couldn't just beat them up like that, could he? He needed a reason, and Lin Yi didn't want Yushu's words to cause trouble for them. These two were clearly a level higher than Pinliang and Zhu Ruoming. It was best to let them suffer in silence. Okay, then you have to teach them a lesson, Yushu said. I'm hanging up now, you have to hurry. Lin Yi hung up and walked out of the washroom, thinking of a plan as he walked. Suddenly, he heard a familiar name coming from a private room. Zihua bro, what do you think of these two girls? They're the best in Starlight, the best in this place. I spent a lot of money to get them here. A flattering voice came from the private room. Although the voice was very humble, it was very loud, and it was obviously a little unscrupulous. Okay, not bad. A man's laughter came from the room. It was Zihua's voice that Lin Yi saw the other day. Lin Yi stopped in his footsteps. Zihua was eating here too? What a coincidence. He didn't know how Zihua felt after killing 2 golden class masters, but he still had the mood to come here and play with the Bess. Twins. What are your names? Zihua was evidently interested as he asked with a perverted voice. I'm Shueshue, and she's Hua Hua. One of the twins said softly, the bolder one. Okay, Shueshue, nice name. Zihua laughed loudly. Come, pour me a glass of wine. A smile formed on Lin Yi's lips as he made up his mind. He quickly walked back to his room. Jian Wen and Tai Zhao had discussed this before. They had to find a girl for Lin Yi no matter what. Even if he didn't want one, they had to persuade him to find one. Otherwise, they'd come for nothing. So they decided that if Lin Yi didn't want one, they'd get him drunk and force him to find one. No matter what, he wouldn't be able to escape tonight. Lin Yi pushed the door open and entered the room. Jian Wen waved at Lin Yi passionately. Bro Lin, come quick. I've already told the manager to find us some hot girls. Sure. Lin Yi pretended to be overjoyed and smiled. I'm full now, I can play with some girls. Good, forthright. Jian Wen was overjoyed as well. He was worried that Lin Yi wouldn't look for one, but now that he'd asked for one, it was exactly what he wanted. The girls in this hotel are all pretty good, I'll make sure you enjoy yourself. Yeah, I've heard about that a long time ago. But bro, I'm a person with high taste. I don't like normal girls, Lin Yi said with a shake of his head. You know that the girls I usually interact with are all school beauties. I know that. Don't worry, I'll definitely find you the best. Jian Wen thought to himself. He wasn't afraid of Lin Yi choosing, he was afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't look for one. As long as Lin Yi had the intention, he'd get the manager to find one for him. That's good. Lin Yi chuckled and sat down, looking very expectant. Jian Wen gave Tai Zhao a look, and he left the room. Not long after, a man in his 30s came in with 5 pretty girls behind him. Mr. Yang, I didn't think that you'd come personally. It's my honor. Jian Wen smiled. Mr. Yang was the general manager of the hotel, directly reporting to the big boss. He had the final say in everything. Other people might not know who Jian Wen and Tai Zhao were, but he did. A few years ago, they were famous people in Songshan. Even the big boss of the hotel had to give them face, let alone a manager like him. Chapter 356. Having a target master and see if these are to your liking. Mr. Yang said with a smile as he showed the girls behind him. Haha, Brother Lin is the guest today, Brother Lin, see if you like them first. Jian Wen said with a nod to Lin Yi. Oh, can I pick two? Lin Yi asked after one look. Of course. Tai Zhao nodded. He'd been afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't pick, but now he could even pick all of them, let alone two. The more people there were, the messier it'd be. It'd be more convincing if he showed them to Chu Pengzhan. That's great. Lin Yi smiled. But, to be honest, none of them are to my liking. Jian Wen and Tai Zhao frowned at Lin Yi's words. Wasn't Lin Yi being a little too picky? These 5 girls weren't top-tier beauties, but they'd still be top-tier beauties after putting on makeup. How could Lin Yi not be interested in any of them? Was his standards really too high, or was he doing this on purpose? But no matter what, Jian Wen had no choice but to ask Mr. Yang to switch. Jian Wen pretended to be angry. Mr. Yang, what's wrong with you? Is it because I haven't been here for a few years that you're not giving me face anymore? Are you trying to fool us with these kinds of girls? I wouldn't dare. Mr. Yang sweated. I'll go switch them right now. These 5 girls really weren't the best of the best in the Starlight Hotel. Tai Zhao had told him to find some good ones to entertain the guests, and so Mr. Yang thought that these 5 were more than enough. He didn't think too much about it. Who would have thought that this customer was a picky one, and now he'd pissed off Master N as well? It wasn't worth it, and he quickly left the room with the 5 girls. Jian Wen could tell from Mr. Yang's expression that these 5 weren't the best of the best. He couldn't help but look at Tai Zhao, puzzled. Why was this guy so unreliable? Since Lin Yi hung out with Meng Yaro and Yu Shu all the time, his standards must be higher than the average person's. Would he even be interested in a normal girl? I'm so sorry, Brother Lin. This Mr. Yang is really bad at handling things. Jian Wen couldn't blame Tai Zhao, so he pushed the blame onto Mr. Yang. Nothing. Let's wait and see. Lin Yi shook his head slightly, feeling amused. Even if you brought a heaven immortal, I would still look down on you. After a while, the door of the private room was pushed open again. This time, Director Yang brought 3 girls who were obviously a grade higher than the previous 5 into the private room. Master N, Master Lin, how did it go? Mr. Yang was full of confidence. He'd brought all of the hotel's top hostesses with him. If he still couldn't pick them out, then he'd have to say that Master Lin had bad taste. Oh, let me see. Lin Yi raised his head calmly, sizing up the 3 girls Mr. Yang had brought. He had to admit that these girls were all top quality. Lin Yi sighed. Why did he have to go into this line of work? But Lin Yi wasn't a savior. He didn't want to care about things like this. Everyone had their own difficulties, and he couldn't possibly understand them one by one. He pretended to look at the 3 girls carefully, thinking that Lin Yi would definitely keep 1 or 2 or even 3 of them when Lin Yi spoke up. Man, it still won't do. Mr. Yang, are you hiding something? Ah. Mr. Yang paused, a little unhappy. Hiding something? What? Master Lin doesn't like any of them. At this point, even Jian Wen and Tai Zhao thought that Lin Yi was being too picky. Was this guy just going through the motions to brush them off? Maybe he didn't even want to look. Jian Wen had his suspicions, but he couldn't say it already. What if Lin Yi was really that picky? Brother Lin, don't tell me that you don't like any of them. Tai Zhao's words were a little forceful after all. Even he was a little moved by these 3 girls, but Lin Yi didn't like any of them. Ahem. All right, I'll get straight to the point then. Mr. Yang, I heard that Starlight has 2 top hostesses, a pair of twins. Lin Yi pretended to be unhappy. I've heard so much about them. It's not just a rumor, is it? Lin Yi's words surprised Mr. Yang, as well as Jian Wen and Tai Zhao. What surprised Mr. Yang was that Lin Yi wasn't being picky at all, but that he already had a target in mind. Perhaps it was because he wanted to save face, but he didn't say it out loud. Instead, he was hinting at Mr. Yang through his dissatisfaction, asking him to change to someone better. Jian Wen and Tai Zhao, on the other hand, hadn't been here for years, and they didn't know who the top hostesses were anymore. So when they heard Lin Yi say these two names, they thought to themselves that this kid was an expert. What made Jian Wen and Tai Zhao the happiest was that Lin Yi wasn't messing with them on purpose. He already had a target in mind, and perhaps he was too embarrassed to say it out loud before, but now that Tai Zhao had forced him to say it. But that wasn't a problem as long as Lin Yi said the name, everything would be fine. Mr. Yang, that Xue and Hua, aren't they the top hostesses here? Jian Wen looked at Mr. Yang, his tone neutral. He was a little annoyed even if he hadn't been here for years. He was still one of the 4 young masters of Songshan. He was a famous young master in Songshan. This Mr. Yang wasn't giving him face at all. He'd already asked him to change the hostesses, and he was still hiding something. Wasn't he looking down on him? Mr. Yang's heart tightened at Jian Wen's anger. He knew that Jian Wen had misunderstood. He quickly explained, "Masterin, please don't be angry. Xue and Hua are the top hostesses here, but they've already been picked up by other customers for a large sum of money." Large sum of money? Page, tell them to come over. I'll pay them even more. It's just money, isn't it? I've got plenty of it. Jian Wen panicked. Lin Yi finally had a target, and now they'd been picked by someone else. How could he let that happen? That's against the rules, isn't it? Mr. Yang sighed. The current Songshan wasn't the 4th young master's world anymore. Your families all have their own backgrounds, but there's someone here who's no weaker than you all. He's the one who picked Xue and Hua tonight. Can I go get them back? And bro, let's just forget about it. Since Mr. Yang's in such a difficult position, let's talk about it another day, Lin Yi said, pretending to be a nice guy. Chapter 357. Chapter 357. The fox exploiting the tiger's might. Jian Wen knew that tonight was a good opportunity for him to take down Lin Yi. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and he didn't know when he'd get it after today. He couldn't wait. Since Lin Yi had a target in mind, he'd have to make sure he got what he wanted. Brother Lin, don't worry, leave this to me. I have some face here in Songshan. Jian Wen said faintly as he looked at Mr. Yang. Mr. Yang, are you not going to give me face anymore? Masterin, it's not that I don't want to, it's just that I can't call them back from their rooms. Mr. Yang smiled bitterly. They're not easy to mess with. Oh. So you're saying that we're easy to mess with? Tai Zhao raged, really wanting to slap this guy in the face. He and Bro were Songshan's 4 young masters. Mr. Yang smiled bitterly. He couldn't afford to piss off a single one of them. And bro, it looks like your face isn't that useful anymore. Why don't we just let it go? I don't want things to get out of hand. Lin Yi said weakly as he looked at Jian Wen. It's fine. Jian Wen stood up from Lin Yi's words. You don't have to do that, just tell me which room they're in, I'll go find them myself. In Songshan, other than my bro Chen, there's no one who dares fight me for a woman. They're in room 418. Mr. Yang said. Masterin, I'll be leaving first then, please don't tell anyone that I said that, go. Jian Wen waved his hand impatiently, cursing the coward in his mind. He turned to Tai Zhao. Let's go, we'll fight and bro for a woman. All right. Tai Zhao stood up as well, itching to go. In the past few years, they had done plenty of such tyrannical things, so they didn't care at all and weren't afraid of getting into trouble. Most people would take the initiative to keep the peace after hearing the name of the 4 young masters of Mount Songshan. No one would argue with them and cause trouble. Brother Lin, are you coming? Jian Wen looked at Lin Yi, who was sitting on the chair. You're a man, you need to be hot-blooded. Even if you don't do anything, you should at least watch from the side. Then, I'll go take a look. Lin Yi stood up excitedly. Actually, I'm looking forward to such a hot-blooded scene. It's just that I didn't dare to before. No problem, just watch. Tai Zhao laughed. Watch how the 4 young masters of Songzhan step on people. Tai Zhao put on a righteous face as well. That was the only way to get Lin Yi to let his guard down, and they'd be able to take pictures of him later. Alright, then I'll also borrow the tiger's might for once. Lin Yi stood up and took 2 steps forward. Then, he turned around and picked up a bottle of red wine from the table. I need to bring a weapon to protect myself. These things are all trash if you follow us. Tai Zhao curled his lips. The name of the 4 young masters of Songzhan was much more useful than a bottle of wine. Lin Yi walked in front like a tiger, opening up a path. Jian Wen and Tai Zhao, on the other hand, were chuckling inwardly at the guy's thought he'd gone crazy thinking about the twins, otherwise he wouldn't be this excited. He stopped in front of room 418, waiting for Jian Wen and Tai Zhao to walk over before kicking the door open. His voice grew shrill with excitement. People inside, listen up. If you know what's good for you, send Shueshue and Hua out to our young master right now. Otherwise, you'll be in for it. With that, he threw the bottle of wine in with a bang, hitting Xihua's face and causing his nose to bleed. In actuality, Lin Yi had made his voice sharper on purpose. He didn't want Xihua to recognize his voice. After throwing the bottle, Lin Yi quickly hid behind Jian Wen and Tai Zhao. Jian Wen and Tai Zhao, on the other hand, didn't mind Lin Yi's actions at all. They thought that he was just trying to act cool, but was also a coward, using their power to intimidate others. Jian Wen and Tai Zhao walked into the room, and with Lin Yi leading the way, Jian Wen pointed at the twins. I'm taking these 2 girls with me tonight. You guys don't mind, do you? Jian Wen used to say this a couple of years ago, and it was easy for him to say it now. He looked at Shueshue and Hua, and found them to be as pretty and sweet as the 3 girls Mr. Yang had brought. No wonder Lin Yi wanted them so much. Even Jian Wen himself was moved. If it weren't for the fact that he had to take pictures of Lin Yi, he would have taken them home himself. Xihua was stunned by the bottle of wine that Lin Yi had thrown at him. Who dared hit him in Songzhan? Did they have a death wish? The voice sounded familiar, but Xihua didn't have time to think about it. He raised his head to look at the door and saw Jian Wen and Tai Zhao walking in. Xihua thought that they were the ones who threw the bottle. He was furious. How could there be people who didn't know what was good for them? Beat them to death. Beat them to death. Xihua held his bleeding nose as he pointed at Jian Wen and Tai Zhao. Beat them until they don't even recognize each other. The 2 golden class masters beside him had been killed by Lin Yi, but Xihua still had other fighters around him. They weren't golden class yet, but they were more than enough to beat up 2 young masters who didn't know any kung fu. The 2 bodyguards beside Xihua heard the order, pouncing over like hungry wolves, each of them grabbing one of the bodyguards and starting the fight without a word. Jian Wen and Tai Zhao were stupefied. They were used to stepping on people, never thinking about the consequences. The moment they said their names, the only thing the other party would think of was to let things go. But today, the people in the room didn't even ask before starting the fight. Were they idiots? Didn't they know the rules? Aren't you afraid of getting into trouble and getting yourself into trouble? They were only thinking about themselves. They didn't think that this was all caused by Lin Yi. If it weren't for Lin Yi smashing a bottle of wine on Xihua's face, he wouldn't have ordered his bodyguards to start the fight. Usually, Jian Wen and Tai Zhao would bring a strong follower with them when they came out. For example, the feminine man from the other day was Tai Zhao's fighter, and he had no problem fighting 1 against 3. But today, he was treating Lin Yi to a meal, and so Jian Wen didn't bring any irrelevant people. Only when the fight was about to start did he realize that there was no one on his side who could fight. Chapter 358. Wasn't this a little too much? Tai Zhao didn't even get a chance to say anything before another bodyguard punched him to the ground. Cries and screams filled the room. People who didn't know what was going on would think that pigs were being slaughtered inside the room. Lin Yi curled his lips. Trying to mess with me? You too can enjoy the feeling of being screwed over yourself by. He used his phone to record the two's miserable state for a while before leaving room 418 silently. He took the elevator downstairs and was out of the hotel in no time at all. Lin Yi didn't drink much at all, just 2 sips of red wine. Lin Yi wouldn't get drunk even if he drank a lot, so he got in the car and drove back to the villa. Jian Wen and Tai Zhao might be the Songshan young masters, but they'd probably have to swallow their pride if they knew that it was Cihua who'd beaten them up. They wouldn't be able to get back at him. Yushu called him again on the way home, and Lin Yi picked it up with a smile. "What's up? Is there something else? Yao asked me to check if you did anything bad again." Yushu giggled. "Haha, nothing, I'm going back soon." Lin Yi smiled. The miss was cold on the outside, but warm on the inside. She did care about him a lot. "Shu, don't say stuff like that, I'm just worried that he'll get filmed and sent to me," Meng Yarrow hemphed, not admitting what she was thinking. "Hihi, Yarrow's angry now." Yushu stuck her tongue out. "Shield bro, did you do anything to them?" "Yup, I'll tell you guys when I get back." Lin Yi found it hilarious the more he thought about Jian Wen and Tai Zhao. Those two were really unlucky he didn't know who was stronger, Jian Wen and Tai Zhao's power. On the 4th floor of the Bright Star Hotel, in room 418, there was a one-sided brawl going on. 2 bodyguards were kicking and punching Tai Zhao and Jian Wen, who'd already turned into pig head. "You dare hit me? Do you know who I am?" Jian Wen yelled at the top of his lungs. He took the opportunity when the bodyguard was switching hands. "I don't care who you are. Since you dare to come looking for trouble today, don't even think of leaving here standing." Jiaonang replied with a cold smile as he carefully wiped the blood off Cihua's face. "Cihua bro, are you alright? Do you want to go to the hospital?" "I'm fine," Cihua said with a wave of his hands. A small injury like this wasn't enough to affect him at all. It was just a little scary, and he didn't feel like he was losing face at all. He was a big shot in the underworld, and now his nose was bleeding from a slap. It was quite embarrassing. "I'm Jian Wen. Songshan young master Jian Wen. How dare you hit me?" Jian Wen continued yelling while he still had the chance to speak. He was afraid that the bodyguard would land another punch on his mouth and turn him into a mute. "Wait." Cihua paused after hearing Jian Wen's words. He quickly waved his hand, signaling the bodyguards to stop fighting. "What did you say? Who are you?" "I'm the 3rd of the Songshan young masters, Su Tai Zhao. His Jian Wen broen." Tai Zhao forced himself up from the ground and pointed a finger at Cihua. "What now? Scared now?" "Not really, but there seems to be some kind of misunderstanding here." Cihua stood up and walked up to the man. "Are you really Jian Wen?" "Of course." Jian Wen wiped the blood off his face dark. "Do you want to see my ID?" "No need. I'll believe you if you say so. Let me introduce myself first, I'm Cihua." Cihua waved his hand and had the bodyguards help Jian Wen and Tai Zhao up. "I don't give a fuck who you are. Cihua, double kick, great cannon, whatever. How dare you hit me? You'll have your house confiscated tomorrow." Tai Zhao waved his claws and fangs. "Tai Zhao, don't make a fuss." Jian Wen frowned at the name and raised his head to look at Cihua. As expected, the guy looked very similar to the Cihua he'd seen in the documents, except that his nose was broken now. "You're Cihua bro?" "Yes, I'm Cihua." Cihua nodded. "Master Wen, is there a misunderstanding? You asked me to meet you at the nightclub on the 5th floor at 9, why'd you come to my room early?" I invited a friend here for dinner. He said he's interested in these 2 girls." "Huh? Where's he?" Jian Wen turned around, but Lin Yi was nowhere to be seen. What a huge misunderstanding. The owner of this room was actually Cihua. This beating would have been for nothing. Jian Wen had been planning to get his men here as soon as he walked out of this room. He wouldn't let the people in this room have it easy. Getting their kidneys removed would be too easy for them. But now, he could only swallow his anger. "Invited a friend for dinner?" Cihua frowned. "Who was the one who threw the bottle in here?" "It's that friend of mine." Jian Wen suddenly called out to the hallway. "Lin Yi! Lin Yi! Lin Yi! The friend you invited is called Lin Yi?" Cihua's pupils contracted. You're saying that Lin Yi was the one who threw the bottle in here? What? You know Lin Yi, Zihua bro? Jian Wen could tell from Zihua's tone that he knew Lin Yi. I do. How could I not know him? Zihua smiled coldly. Not only do I know him, he's my enemy. Master Wen, I'm sure that you've been tricked by that Lin Yi. Jian Wen's face darkened as he fell into deep thought after hearing Zihua's words. He wasn't an idiot, he connected the dots and came to a conclusion immediately. Lin Yi had done this on purpose. He probably knew that Zihua was in this room, and knew that Xuexue and Hua were here as well. That was why he'd purposely picked these two, using Tai Zhao and Jian Wen as cannon fodder to send them to Zihua's room. In the end, a bottle had escalated the conflict, and Lin Yi was gone when the two of them went in stupidly. Chapter 359. Chapter 359, Getting Beaten Up for Nothing. What Lin Yi didn't know was that Jian Wen and Zihua actually knew each other, and had even arranged to meet up at night. According to Lin Yi, even if Jian Wen and Tai Zhao weren't killed, they'd be crippled by Zihua's men. Zihua, on the other hand, wasn't a man who wouldn't react when his nose was bleeding. Master An, I can only apologize for what happened earlier. I hope you don't mind, but I've become like this as well, Zihua said with a shrug as he pointed at his face. The power behind Zihua wasn't weak, but Jian Wen's house and wasn't weak either. Add Tai Zhao's house to the mix, there was even less of a need for Zihua to start a feud. The two of them didn't even have a grudge against each other, and were even working together. It was all that bastard Lin Yi's fault. It's fine. Jian Wen waved his hand. He knew that he couldn't blame Zihua for what happened today. The only person to blame was Lin Yi. That bastard was simply too evil. Tai Zhao, on the other hand, was a little indignant. Lin Yi was the one who started this, but he couldn't just beat someone up like that, could he? He'd never heard of the name Zihua, after all. Who the hell knew who he was? But seeing that Jian Wen was letting it go, he didn't have anything else to say. He could only sit on the side angrily. The good thing was that the beating wasn't too heavy, just that his face looked like a pig's head. Xuexue, Hua, go accompany young Master Su to calm his anger. Zihua could see through Tai Zhao's resentment. He waved at the twins, gesturing for them to keep Tai Zhao company. Tai Zhao's face was swollen, but Xuexue and Hua weren't stupids. They knew that this person was someone with a high social status, someone who was on the same level as Zihua. Plus, he was a pig now, but he'd been a handsome guy when he first came in. It wouldn't be a loss to keep him company. Master Su. Tai Zhao had been holding a grudge at first, but now that Zihua had given him these two headliners, that grudge vanished without a trace. He wasn't the kind of person who was shrewd. The purpose of coming to the private room this time was to snatch the woman. Now that he had achieved his goal, he had his face. Naturally, Tai Zhao didn't say anything else about Zihua's thoughtfulness and respect. Happily, he brought the two girls into the lounge. Zihua smiled faintly. Naturally, he knew what Tai Zhao was thinking, but he didn't care about him at all. The only person he cared about was Jian Wen, the person who could bring him benefits. Young Master An, forgive me for being blunt, but why are you treating Lin Yi to a meal? Are you friends with him? Zihua had to figure out the relationship between Jian Wen and Lin Yi first. He knew that Jian Wen was pissed off after Lin Yi set him up, but that was just on the surface. Who knew if there was a deeper connection between the two? If Jian Wen and Lin Yi were really friends, then this cooperation wouldn't be able to go on. Friends? Jian Wen smiled coldly. More like love rivals. Oh. Zihua narrowed his eyes. He'd gotten a useful piece of information. I was wondering why he'd set you up. I've underestimated the kid's intellect. It seems like he knew that I had bad intentions towards him all along, so he set me up after eating me. Jian Wen said angrily. Zihua bro, you and Lin Yi. Lin Yi is Meng Yao's bodyguard. We wanted to kidnap Meng Yao to achieve our goals, but Lin Yi ruined our plan. Zihua said nonchalantly. Naturally, he wouldn't reveal something as shameful as losing two golden class masters, and now that the plan had failed, Gubang had lost the ability to deal with Peng Zhan. Zihua couldn't be bothered with Meng Yao, But Lin Yi, on the other hand, was something he couldn't let go of. Oh, is Lin Yi really Meng Yao's bodyguard? Jian Wen paused. He'd had his suspicions before, but if Lin Yi really was Meng Yao's bodyguard, then he still had a chance. I thought that he had some sort of relationship with Meng Yao before, but I realized that he was closer to that Yushu. Zihua was talking about the theme park incident. Lin Yi risked his life to jump into the sea with Yushu, and that made Zihua suspicious. Yushu? Ha, that's great. Jian Wen lost his composure a little after hearing Zihua's words. But he couldn't be blamed for that. He'd been planning to cause trouble for Lin Yi because he'd heard that Lin Yi was Meng Yao's boyfriend. Now that he was sure that Lin Yi wasn't, Jian Wen felt quite satisfied. What's wrong, Masterin? The girl you're in love with isn't Meng Yao, is it? Zihua seemed to have noticed something. I'm sorry, Zihua bro, but Yao Yao and I are childhood friends, we grew up together. Jian Wen nodded. I saw Lin Yi with Meng Yao when I came back to China, so I brought him out to see what's going on. That kid isn't simple. Even if he's just a bodyguard, you still have to be careful of him, Zihua reminded. He didn't mind using this opportunity to drive a wedge between Jian Wen and Lin Yi into the fray. I will. Jian Wen nodded. Zihua bro, you guys want to go after Meng Yao? It's all in the past, and that plan has been terminated. Don't worry. Zihua smiled. Even if it wasn't terminated, I wouldn't do anything for Masterin's sake. Thank you, Zihua bro. Jian Wen was quite satisfied with Zihua's attitude. The two had some conflict at first, but that was all because of Lin Yi. Now that things were out in the open, Jian Wen still wanted to work with Zihua. Masterin, we don't get to know each other without a fight. We're both straightforward people, so just say what you want. Zihua smiled as he poured Jian Wen a glass of red wine. Because of the misunderstanding, the two skipped the pleasantries and probing each other's secrets and went straight to the point. Chapter 360. Kneeling on the CPU. Hello, Mr. Su, your name's pretty cute. Jian Wen sweated a little at the name. It was a pretty cool name. Haha. Jiaonang smiled. I'm from the same family as that Master Su inside. Don't worry, Masterin, this room's soundproof. We can't hear anything from inside, right? Jian Wen nodded. Zihua bro, I'm sure you know what kind of business my family does. My big brother used to be in charge here in Songshan, and I don't care what he does, but I've heard a lot about you, Zihua bro. You're the boss of Songshan's underground forces. That's why I'm here to pay you a visit. No matter what, Jian Wen's words made Zihua feel good. Naturally, Zihua knew what kind of business Jian Wen's family was in, after all, selling human organs. Jian Wen's big brother, Engender, hadn't visited Zihua when he was here. He didn't think much of Zihua because he had a golden class mid-phase as his underling. But Engender's business back then was the kind where money was exchanged for goods. It was illegal, but it didn't have anything to do with the underground forces. Zihua didn't want to get into an enemy's business because of that. After all, a golden class mid-phase master wasn't to be underestimated. Zihua had a stronger master backing him up, but there was no need for the two to fight to the death. Even if he took care of Engender, Zihua wouldn't be able to dip his fingers into his business, since he'd never been in the business before. He didn't have any customers, and he didn't have any channels to sell his organs. But even so, Zihua was still a little displeased. After all, doing illegal business in Songshan without paying a visit to him was a bit shameful. Even if he didn't give any money, shouldn't he at least put on a feast? And so, Zihua was quite pleased that Jian Wen had taken the initiative to pay a visit. Haha, Master Wen, I'm glad that you're thinking like that. Don't worry, there's no one I can't take care of in Songshan. If you need anything in the future, just say the word. Zihua said boldly. However, he was obviously bragging. At the very least, he didn't manage to deal with Lin Yi. Not only that, but he also lost 2 golden class masters. This was a huge loss. No. Zihua bro, I'm not here to visit you this time. I'm here to talk about cooperation. Jian Wen waved his hand with a smile. Cooperate? Sihua paused. What was there to cooperate with this guy? Sihua bro, you know that fewer and fewer people are willing to sell their kidneys these days. People aren't stupid anymore. My brother used to lie to people, saying that losing a kidney wouldn't affect them at all. But the truth is, people who have their kidneys removed will have their bodies deteriorate. No one is falling for that anymore. Jianwen said helplessly. That's why I'm preparing to make a move on the homeless and beggars. Of course I have to go through you, Sihua bro. Sihua nodded. This Jianwen was quite the attention. He wouldn't be able to interfere if it was just selling organs, but kidnapping people on his turf without Sihua's permission was a little disrespectful to him. Sihua nodded, thinking that Jianwen wasn't a big deal at all. That's a good thought. No one would notice if the homeless and beggars went missing. Sihua nodded. What do you want me to do? Help you catch them, or help you solve the problem? Haha, it'd be best if you could help me catch them, but we'll do it ourselves. Jianwen nodded. Of course, I'll give you a certain amount of profit every month, Sihua bro. You won't be doing this for free. Okay. Sihua nodded, satisfied. Organ trading was a very profitable business, and it would be a good idea if Jianwen could give him a portion of the profit. Of course, Sihua bro, if you have someone who died not too long ago, you can send it to me as well, Jianwen said. We'll share the profit with you as well. No problem. It's a deal. Sihua nodded. Sihua wouldn't have agreed so easily if it were someone else, but he knew about Jianwen's family. His big brother had been doing organ trading for a few years now, and it had always been very secretive. There shouldn't be any risk in working with Jianwen. They'd already formed a set of procedures, and it wouldn't be exposed easily. Sihua bro, you're such a straightforward person. Jianwen nodded with a smile as he raised the wine in his hand. His face was swollen and bruised, but he was still very happy that he'd made a deal. With Sihua's support, his business would definitely grow. Plus, he'd learned something important today. Lin Yi wasn't Meng Yao's boyfriend, but her bodyguard. Things would be easier if that was the case, but it was time to change his plan of dealing with Lin Yi. If he really was a bodyguard, it would be a good idea to rope him in, but if he didn't, then he'd have no choice but to do the same. Meng Yaro and Yu Shu sat on the sofa, watching TV. Meng Yaro waited for Yu Shu to finish talking with Lin Yi before asking, Shu, is he coming back already? Yeah, Yaro, Shield Bro said he's on his way back. Yu Shu nodded. He said he wasn't lying, and he didn't go to the miss. Chumph, you can trust a man's words. Meng Yaro hemphed. Shu, you trust people too easily. Don't get tricked by Lin Yi. My dad said that he didn't make Mommy run away because of him, but what's the truth? I saw the note Mommy left behind, and it said that Daddy made her run away because of him. Oh. Then what should we do? We'll wait for Shield Bro to come back and ask him. Yu Shu wondered if Shield Bro would be able to resist temptation. I heard that the only way to get a man to tell the truth is to make him kneel on the CPU. Yao, should we try that too? Meng Yaro sweated profusely. Kneel on the CPU? Shu, your method is outdated. I heard that nowadays people kneel on the TV remote, and they beat you up every time you change the channel. The new CPU doesn't have pins anymore, so it's useless for punishment. It's fine, Yao. We can turn on the computer and remove the fan, and make Shield Bro kneel on it. Yu Shu waved her fist. Are you trying to burn him to death? Meng Yaro was speechless. The CPU would burn to death without a fan. Chapter 361. Chapter 361. Lin Yi's birthday gift. Oh, it's nothing. We were talking about burning a cockroach to death. Yu Shu still wanted to hear how Lin Yi had taught Jianwen and Tai Zhao a lesson. She wouldn't dare offend Lin Yi. She changed her words immediately. What a bastard. All you've got is your mouth. Kneel to the CPU. Who knows who'll be kneeling in the future? Meng Yaro glared at Yu Shu angrily when she saw how Yu Shu was denying everything without any sense of loyalty. Hee. Yu Shu pretended like she didn't hear anything as she stood up from the sofa with a giggle. She ran over to Lin Yi. Shield bro, how did you teach Jen Wen and Tai Zhao a lesson? Tell me. Meng Yaro was annoyed at Yushu's actions, but she couldn't help but widen her eyes at Lin Yi's question. She looked at Lin Yi with widened eyes. Haha, see for yourselves. Lin Yi said as he handed the phone to Yushu. When Jen Wen was recording with his phone, Lin Yi turned on his phone as well. It was just that he kept the phone in his pocket at the beginning, so he could only hear their voices, not see the images. Bro Lin, come quick. I've already told the manager to get us some hot girls. Alright. Now that we're full, we can play with some girls. Lin Yi's phone sounded, and Meng Yaro heard everything clearly. She couldn't help but glare at Lin Yi. Shoo, look, I told you this guy wasn't being honest. Looks like we'll have to show this recording to Tang Yin tomorrow. Let her see what kind of person Lin Yi is. Yushu looked at Lin Yi, confused. Shield bro, are you that kind of person? Ah. We'll know if we keep watching. Lin Yi shrugged, not explaining. Yushu and Meng Yaro continued listening to Lin Yi's phone, and Meng Yaro frowned again when Lin Yi asked for snow and flour. Lin Yi, what else do you know about snow and flour? Lin Yi didn't say anything, gesturing for her to keep watching. Meng Yaro thought that Lin Yi was feeling guilty when he didn't reply. She hemphed and went back to looking at the phone. Meng Yaro heard Jen Wen and Tai Zhao asking for the girls, and Lin Yi's cowardice. Meng Yaro knew that Lin Yi was starting to pull something. He was a fearless man. Why would he be afraid of trouble? Meng Yaro and Yushu understood Lin Yi's plan the moment they heard him smash a bottle into the room. The people in that room weren't easy to deal with. Lin Yi was using someone else's hand to deal with Jen Wen and Tai Zhao. As expected, the people in the room were pissed off, and started kicking and punching Jen Wen and Tai Zhao. They could see the video now, taken by Lin Yi. Haha. Shield bro, you're amazing. You killed people without a trace. Yushu looked at the video of Jen Wen and Tai Zhao getting beaten up, quite pleased. These two really shot themselves in the foot, trying to find a girl for you, but they got beaten up instead. Tricks like this can only fool these two idiots. Meng Yaro hemphed, not giving Lin Yi any compliments. Who was the one who suspected Lin Yi just now? Haha, I can't take it anymore, I'm dying of laughter. These two are really stupid. Yushu couldn't stop laughing. Shield bro, give me a copy later, I'll watch it again when I'm free. Alright. Lin Yi nodded. After returning to his room, he received a call from Kang Xiaobo. The guy was worried about his second grandpa's birthday present this weekend. Boss, what do you think I should give him? I'm bringing Fen and you with me this time, after all, and it'd be embarrassing if I gave him something too cheap. Ha! Your second grandpa, Dr. Kang, doesn't really need anything. His family won't be interested in anything you give him. Lin Yi smiled. It depends on their attitude towards your family. According to what you said, the relationship between your two families only looks like it's okay on the surface, but if it's not, they'll think that you're poor if the gifts you give them are too cheap, and if the gifts you give them are too expensive, they'll think that you're trying to act rich. Man, you're right. Kang Xiaobo listened to Lin Yi's words and nodded. If it were Kang Ming, my second grandpa would have laughed for half a day even if he gave me a calligraphy he wrote. He's his grandson after all, and alright, Xiaobo, since you're calling me boss, I'll take care of this for you. I'll prepare a special gift for him, but it's up to him whether he believes it or not, Lin Yi said after some hesitation. Oh, boss, do you have something good? Kang Xiaobo listened to Lin Yi's words and was overjoyed. Boss, do you have a gift that can make us proud? Yes, I'm preparing something for you, but I'm afraid they won't believe it, Lin Yi said. It's fine if they don't believe me, it doesn't matter, as long as the thought is there. Kang Xiaobo nodded. Boss, no matter what, I believe you. After hanging up, Lin Yi's lips curved into a smile. Dr. Kang. When his miracle Dr. Guan brand gets bigger in the future, there's no guarantee that they won't become enemies. In order to prevent him from having unrealistic thoughts, he'll use this birthday banquet to suppress him. After Lin Yi performed acupuncture on Junhu last time, he had an idea, to make a bone cleansing pill. Of course, it wasn't a real bone cleansing pill. A real bone cleansing pill required a large amount of expensive herbs. Not only was the cost frighteningly high, but the production of those herbs also meant that this pill couldn't be mass-produced. This was a pill that old Lin had given to Lin Yi to train his body when he was young. It could expel impurities from the body and cleanse the bones and marrow. But naturally, Lin Yi wouldn't take something like this out. What he wanted to make was just a substitute. It could only expel the impurities and toxins from the body that hadn't been cleansed by metabolism. It couldn't truly change the body's constitution. But even so, it could extend one's lifespan by a few years or even 10 years. Of course, that was under the condition that there weren't any major problems with the body. This thing wasn't an elixir of immortality, it was just a detoxification drug. Even if it was eaten, it wouldn't cure the illness. Lin Yi's acupuncture on Zhanhu had already achieved a similar effect. This could be replaced by traditional Chinese medicine. This time, when Lin Yi attended Kang Xiaobo's second grandfather's birthday banquet, he was prepared to bring out a bone-cleansing pill like this. However, Lin Yi renamed it the Pill of Life Extension and Toxin Cleansing. Chapter 362. Boss has a way, of course. Even if this thing could be mass-produced, Lin Yi didn't want to do it. He didn't want to leak the recipe either. Rare things were more valuable. People would only crazily chase after it when it was unique. Plus, once this thing was released, it would definitely attract the attention of various forces. Lin Yi didn't want to stand in the limelight just yet. He only took out a few pills. He didn't want to say that he made it himself. He just wanted to release some from time to time. This way, he could keep a low profile. Originally, Lin Yi wanted to make a few pills and give them to the celebrities when Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company opened. He wanted to make Miracle Dr. Guan's name known. But it wasn't a bad idea to give one to Dr. Kang as a birthday gift. If he believed it, then his words would be more convincing. If he didn't believe it, then he could only pretend that he wasn't fated to enjoy such a good thing. Lin Yi originally wanted to wait for Kang Xiaobo's second grandpa's birthday celebration to make the pill. But because of this phone call, Lin Yi had to prepare in advance. Luckily, he still had time. On Saturday afternoon, Kang Xiaobo called. Lin Yi drove to Ningxia Road Station to pick up Kang Xiaobo. Tang Yun's father, Tang Juqing, was going to have surgery on Monday. Tang Yun had to stay in the hospital with her mother, so she was at the hospital. Lin Yi wanted to pick up Tang Yun after picking up Kang Xiaobo. As for Xiaofen, Kang Xiaobo had already discussed it with his parents. Lin Yi was his good brother, Tang Yun was Lin Yi's girlfriend, and Xiaofen was Tang Yun's best friend. Kang Xiaobo's parents didn't suspect anything. Instead, they thought that it was a good sign that Kang Xiaobo could bring a classmate. After all, Kang Xiaobo wasn't willing to go to his second grandpa's house in the past. The people on the other side invited him warmly, but Xiaobo continued to ignore them. Kang Xiaobo's parents didn't know that Kang Mingming had been mocking Kang Xiaobo in private. He was only pretending to be normal. The car stopped at Ningxia Road Station. Kang Xiaobo opened the door and got in. "Boss, let's go pick up Xiaofen first." "She's at home." Lin Yi nodded. Xiaofen lived in the slums, so Lin Yi was familiar with the place. "Man, Fen doesn't really want to go. She said she'd go, but now she's backing out." Xiaobo sighed after getting in the car. "I tried to talk her out of it, and she agreed reluctantly. Who knows if she'll regret it later? That's normal. After all, going to see Kang Jiaoming is an eternal pain in her heart. Although she was mentally prepared for it, it's understandable that she would retreat when it comes to it." Lin Yi said, "After all, Kang Mingming hurt her. Although you want to completely forget Kang Mingming in this way, you have to consider Xiaofen's opinion. I understand, too. That's why I'll always be by her side. I won't let Kang Mingming bully her." Kang Xiaobo clenched his fist. "I'll protect her from harm. I believe you." Lin Yi nodded, but even if Kang Xiaobo didn't say it, he would still accompany Kang Xiaobo and not let anyone bully him and Xiao Fen. Lin Yi parked the car in front of Xiao Fen's house. Kang Xiaobo went upstairs to pick Xiao Fen up. Lin Yi sat in the car and called Tang Yun. Hello. The call was picked up very quickly, and Tang Yun's voice came from the other side. Lin Yi, are you here? My dad is asleep. I can't speak loudly. Not yet. I accompanied Xiaobo to pick up Xiao Fen, Lin Yi said. I'm downstairs. I'll pick you up later. Tang Yun replied softly. Before she could say anything, Lin Yi heard Mrs. Tang's voice from the other side of the phone. Yun, is that Xiao Lin? Go and play. I don't need you here. Your dad hasn't undergone surgery yet. He doesn't need you to take care of him. Then, it was Tang Yun's embarrassed and helpless voice. All right. Mom, I understand. You don't have to worry. I'll leave in a while, okay, haha. Lin Yi chuckled before hanging up. Kang Xiaobo supported Xiao Fen as they limped down. Xiao Fen had a limp. It was obvious when she walked. She usually sat in a wheelchair at home. However, it wasn't suitable for her to sit in a wheelchair today. I said I'd carry you down, but you didn't agree. Look, you almost fell. Kang Xiaobo saw Xiao Fen stumble and almost fall at the door. He subconsciously helped her up. Xiao Fen's outfit today was very fashionable and pure. She wore a candy t-shirt and a pair of jeans. Her hair was meticulously styled. She even had light makeup on her face. After her recuperation in the hospital, she looked completely different from her sickly appearance. She also wore a pair of exquisite sunglasses. She gave off a youthful and beautiful vibe. It was similar to Tang Yun's style. No wonder they were best friends. One could imagine that Xiao Fen had many pursuers in the past. She wasn't inferior to Tang Yun. However, fate was unfair. It made her drop out of school and stay at home. If it wasn't for Kang Xiaobo, it would be hard for Xiao Fen to walk out of her house. Although Xiao Fen's heart wasn't completely open, she was much more cheerful than before. If it wasn't for her leg, Xiao Fen would be even more radiant. Xiao Fen is very beautiful today. Lin Yi comforted her. A girl like Fen was extremely lacking in confidence right now, and he needed to keep encouraging her. Is that so? Xiao Fen lowered her head in surprise. I was afraid that Xiaobo would feel embarrassed. How could that be? It's very honorable for me to bring you out, Kang Xiaobo said. How could it be embarrassing to have such a beautiful companion? But my leg. Xiao Fen knew that Kang Xiaobo was comforting her. At least to his parents, he didn't dare to tell the truth. Don't worry. Boss said he will cure you. He has a way, Kang Xiaobo said and gave Lin Yi a look. Chapter 363. Keep the good stuff for yourself. Lin Yi's answer was very standard, and he didn't tell Fen that he could definitely cure it, only saying that it was possible. But the more it was like that, the happier Fen was. If Lin Yi said that he could cure it, then Fen would have suspected that he was just comforting her. But Lin Yi's words increased her confidence. Lin Yi, can you really cure my leg? Fen was surprised and happy. Even Kang Xiaobo looked at Lin Yi with anticipation. Yes, but don't worry. Lin Yi smiled. That's not a problem. Lin Yi's house had a couple of nerve-stimulating drugs, concocted by old Lin in order to stimulate his body's potential. Lin Yi didn't need those drugs anymore after learning the art of dragon mastery, so he put them aside. Since Lin Yi couldn't use it himself, he didn't put much effort into researching the medicine that stimulated the body's potential. Even if he didn't go back to his house to get the medicine, he could just look it up or call Old Man Lin and ask for the formula. Yes. Fen nodded excitedly. She wanted to walk like a normal person even in her dreams, and now that Lin Yi had given her hope, she was in high spirits. Kang Xiaobo was very happy about Fen's change. He told her about the interesting things in school along the way, including how Lin Yi slapped Zhu Ruoming and kicked Zhong Pingliang. Yun is so lucky to find your boss. He's a good person and treats her well. Fen was happy that she found Lin Yi. After all, Lin Yi was many times stronger than Kang Mingming. Isn't Xiaobo nice to you too? Lin Yi joked. Yeah, I'm boss's follower. Naturally, I've inherited boss's good traditions, Kang Xiaobo said confidently. He. Xiao Fen was amused. Inherited? He didn't give birth to you. Lin Yi picked up Tang Yun downstairs of the First People's Hospital. Tang Yun couldn't believe her eyes when she saw Xiao Fen in the car. Fen. You're so pretty. Tang Yun rubbed her eyes. She was used to Fen's sickly look after so many years. She didn't think that Fen would still look so pretty after dressing up. Don't joke with me, Yun. How am I as beautiful as you? Although Xiao Fen said that, she was still very happy in her heart. She couldn't compare to Tang Yun, who was already very beautiful without makeup, but compared to others, Xiao Fen was still very superior. Women dress up for the man they like, that's true. Are you dressing up for Kang Xiaobo? Tang Yun joked. How dare you talk about me? Yin, why aren't you wearing your school uniform today? Your dress is so pretty, I've never seen you wear it before. Xiao Fen pulled the topic back to Tang Yun. Tang Yun blushed. The dress she was wearing was bought by Lin Yi in the night market. She threw it in the closet because she was angry at Lin Yi. Now that her relationship with Lin Yi had improved, Tang Yun naturally found it and put it on. I gave it to her, Lin Yi smiled. Oh. Kang Xiaobo and Xiao Fen nodded. How? She gave you 50 kuai. Tang Yun glared at Lin Yi. Since you said that you gave it to her, when are you going to return it to me? Ha. Lin Yi knew that Tang Yun was just joking. She wouldn't really ask for money. Right, boss, where's the present you prepared? Kang Xiaobo suddenly remembered something important. Here, Lin Yi took out an antique box from his pocket and passed it to Kang Xiaobo. Oh, what's this? It looks pretty high-end. Kang Xiaobo took the box and opened it. Hey, boss, what's this black pill? Pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, Lin Yi said a name he just came up with. Pill of life extension and toxin cleansing? Kang Xiaobo repeated the name in shock. How come I've never heard of this before? A miracle doctor gave it to me. There's not a lot of it. Lin Yi said. After taking this pill, it can quickly expel the impurities and toxins in your body. It can extend your lifespan by 5 to 10 years. Damn. Such a good thing. It can't be, boss. Why would you give it to him? Kang Xiaobo's words made Tang Yun and Xiaofen speechless. Isn't he your second grandpa? Lin Yi was also speechless. That's true. But he hasn't been good to my family for the past few years. I might as well give it to Xiaofen. Kang Xiaobo wanted to say that he ate it, but he remembered Xiaofen and said it. Xiaofen was touched, but she still said, we're young. We don't need to eat this, right? Xiaofen is right. Lin Yi nodded. You're young. Even if you expel the toxins, you won't be able to expel much. It's especially effective for the elderly. So that's the case. Kang Xiaobo came to a realization. But it's a waste to give it to him. I might as well keep it for myself. I still have more when you need it. I'll keep it for you. Lin Yi smiled. You should give it to your second grandpa. Okay. Kang Xiaobo looked at the pill with a pained expression. Boss, you're not lying to me, right? Is this thing really that magical? It's not magical. It's based on science. The more toxins there are in the body, the more harmful it is to the body. Especially for the elderly. If you don't pay attention when you're young, the toxins will accumulate in your body. Lin Yi explained. This thing is used to expel toxins from the body. It doesn't have any other functions. I see. Kang Xiaobo nodded. Okay, I'll give it to him since he's my second grandpa. Lin Yi drove to the provincial capital, Donghai City. Donghai City was the provincial capital. It wasn't far from Songshan City, but it wasn't too close either. It was about a 3-hour drive. Lin Yi's shabby van couldn't drive very fast. If other cars drove for more than 3 hours, Lin Yi had to drive for more than 4 hours. It couldn't be helped. The van's speed couldn't be picked up, and it would easily fall apart. When the four of them arrived at the provincial capital, Donghai City, It was already 6 o'clock at night. Where are we going? Lin Yi had no sense of direction after getting off the highway. He knew nothing about the provincial capital, Donghai City. Chapter 364. Chapter 364. Master's old friend Kang Xiaobo's parents left in the morning. Kang Xiaobo said that he would come with his classmate's car, so his parents didn't wait for him. The call went through, and it was Kang Xiaobo's father who picked up. Xiaobo, you've arrived? Yeah, we just got off the highway, we're at the entrance of Donghai City. Kang Xiaobo said, Dad, where are you staying? I'll go look for you. I'm staying at Moon on the Sea Hotel, sigh. Kang Fu sighed and didn't say anything for a long time. Dad, what's wrong? Kang Xiaobo paused. He felt like his father had something he couldn't say. Dad, where are you? I'm staying at the hotel your second grandpa arranged for me. Kang Fu said, but, Xiaobo, bring your classmates to another hotel, one that's more luxurious, don't neglect them, ah? Kang Xiaobo froze. Dad, why are we staying outside? Didn't second grandpa book the whole hotel already? Sigh, your second grandpa's family only reserved one room for us three. Kang Fu said, they can't let you come back to stay by yourself, can they? Didn't you tell them that I'm bringing classmates? Kang Xiaobo panicked. I did, but your second uncle said that he was too busy and forgot. Kang Fu sighed, whether he really forgot or not, I don't want to pursue it. But your second uncle's words are too infuriating. He said that your classmates can just find a hotel that's 30 to 20 yuan and he'll pay for it. Look, what are you talking about? Moon on the Sea, isn't that the hotel we went to last time? Didn't he book the whole resort? Why aren't there any empty rooms? Kang Xiaobo felt like he had lost face. Lin Yi, Tang Yun, and Xiao Fen heard his father's conversation clearly. It made him angry. He said there will be VIPs. Forget it, Xiaobo. Dad will pay for you. Take your classmate to a more luxurious hotel. Kang Xiaobo's father was unwilling to argue on this topic. Don't neglect your classmate. Okay. Kang Xiaobo hung up the phone. He was so angry that he wanted to punch the car shed, but he finally retracted his hand. What a fucking bully. Why? Last time on his second grandpa's birthday, Kang Mingming found a bunch of scoundrel friends and they were all arranged to stay in the hotel. Many of them even had single rooms. His friends were fine, but his classmates had to stay in the hotel. What kind of logic was that? Forget it, Xiaobo. Lin Yi didn't think much of it. Then let's find a place ourselves. Boss, you don't know. Moon on the Sea is actually a resort. It's huge. How can there be no rooms? Kang Xiaobo said hatefully. I think they are looking down on us. Ah. Moon on the Sea? Lin Yi was slightly stunned. Is that the name? Why? Boss, you know this hotel too? Kang Mingming looked at Lin Yi's stunned expression and asked curiously. Wait, let me make a call. Lin Yi hesitated for a moment before opening the door and getting out of the car. Although Lin Yi didn't want to use his previous connections, this was his last mission. After the mission, he wanted to live an ordinary life. Even if he had to be the Missy's follower for the rest of his life, he would accept it. This was because this kind of life without bullets and blood on the edge was too nostalgic. However, this time, because of Kang Xiaobo, the only brother he knew after integrating into his ordinary life, Lin Yi decided to make an exception for him. Lin Yi walked to a position a little further away from the van and dialed a number. After the phone call went through, it was quickly picked up on the other side. There was a pleasant female voice. Eagle. How did you guess it was me? Lin Yi was slightly stunned. The location of the call is Donghai City. The voice was a little reproachful. At present, except for you who has a special mission there is no one there. Oh. As expected of the princess of the hacker world. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. You can immediately know my location. Even if I don't know your location, I can still deduce that your phone number belongs to Songshan. Princess snorted lightly. Locating your location is just a confirmation. Fine, I admit I'm not good at computers. Lin Yi surrendered. I have something to ask you. Is the Moon on the Sea Hotel in Donghai operated by our people? I think I saw it on a PDA before. Where's your PDA? Princess didn't answer, but asked in return. My old man took it to play games. Lin Yi sweated. And he said this mission is not dangerous, so he doesn't need that thing. Play games? Princess was obviously speechless, but she didn't have the right to criticize old Lin. She could only pretend not to hear. It's operated by our people. Okay, give me the contact number of the person in charge, Lin Yi said. His contact number is. The princess gave him the contact number. Okay, then I'll hang up first. Lin Yi noted down the contact number. Don't you have anything else to say to me? Princess asked in return. What else? Lin Yi was stunned. Goodbye. Before Lin Yi could say anything else, the call was already hung up. Looking at the phone being hung up, Lin Yi smiled helplessly. This girl, what's wrong with her again? What Lin Yi didn't expect was that the owner of the Moon on the Sea Hotel in Donghai was not only one of his people, but also an old friend of his master. Although they hadn't met before, he had heard his master mention this person more than once. Lin Yi followed the contact number provided by Princess and dialed his number. Hello, who are you looking for? After the call was connected, a deep male voice came from the other side. Uncle Tian? Lin Yi asked tentatively. You are. The man who was addressed as Uncle Tian was not sure who this person was. I am Lin Yi, Lin Yi said his name. On the other side of the phone, Uncle Tian was stunned. He fell silent, as if digesting the name. After a while, he asked tentatively, Boss last disciple? That's me, Lin Yi said. Please tell me your code name and password in the organization. Uncle Tian was obviously a cautious person. Eagle, password is. Lin Yi said a code that was a combination of numbers and English. Chapter 365. Know all kinds of people. Why would I need anything? Lin Yi's identity was special, but Uncle Tian was his elder, an old friend of his Shifu. Lin Yi wouldn't put on airs. Uncle Tian, I need your help with something. Just say it. Uncle Tian was a little angry. Your boss's disciple. Your words are the same as boss's. It's like this. I'm going to his second grandpa's birthday party with my classmate, but we don't have any rooms left. Do you have a place to stay? Lin Yi asked. That's it. Uncle Tian froze. It was too simple. Are you going to Kang Lightsai's birthday party? His surname is Kang, Dr. Kang, but I'm not sure if it's this Kang Lightsai. Lin Yi felt a chill when he heard Dr. Kang's name. As expected of a moneymaker. That's him then. Uncle Tian smiled. The entire resort has been booked by the Kang family, but I have a private villa that's not open to the public. You can just come over. All right, I'll head over now. I'll call you when I get there. Lin Yi reminded him. I'm a student now. I understand. Uncle Tian smiled. He wouldn't ask too much about Lin Yi's identity and what he was going to do. Lin Yi hung up and returned to the car. He said to Kang Xiaobo, it's done. Let's go. Where? Kang Xiaobo was surprised. To the Moon on the Sea resort. Lin Yi said as he started the car. There's no room in the resort. Boss, you found someone? Kang Xiaobo was excited. We can stay at the Moon on the Sea resort too? Yeah. Lin Yi nodded. The owner of the hotel is an elder of mine. Damn, boss, you're amazing. Kang Xiaobo was full of admiration. His eyes were blazing with passion. He could finally hold his head high and let off some steam. Didn't her second uncle not allow her to stay here? And he stayed there. It doesn't matter if he doesn't have a room. I don't need to prepare a room for him. I have a room to stay in. Seeing how excited Kang Xiaobo was, Tang Yun looked at Lin Yi curiously. This guy seemed to be able to solve any trouble easily. Did he know the owner of Donghai Ocean Moon Hotel? He knew quite a few people. Oh. Well, don't be angry. Not only do we have a room to live in, but we also live in a villa. Lin Yi smiled and comforted Kang Xiaobo. Villa? It can't be. Kang Xiaobo's eyes widened. I heard that Bright Moon over the sea has a total of 30 independent villas. Only 20 of them are open to the public, and 10 of them are for private use. That's right, boss, you know their boss. Naturally, you have a villa for private use. Although Lin Yi didn't know where Bright Moon over the sea hotel was, he removed the GPS from Yushu's Beetle and installed it in his car before he left. It was a very famous hotel. Lin Yi searched for it on the GPS and found a clear route to the hotel. Kang Xiaobo's second uncle, Kang Mingming's father, was standing at the entrance of Bright Moon over the sea resort with Kang Mingming, welcoming the guests. As for Kang Xiaobo's uncle, he was the CEO of Dr. Kang's medical group. His position was much more important than Kang Xiaobo's second uncle. He was currently in the hotel with a few important guests. Boss, that's my second uncle. The one beside him is Kang Mingming. Kang Xiaobo pointed at the person not far away and introduced him to Lin Yi. Xiaobo. Xiao Fen faintly saw the figure of that person and closed her eyes in fear. This was the person that she had yearned for day and night, but at this moment, Xiao Fen couldn't tell what kind of feelings she had for this person. Longing, hate, or fear. Kang Xiaobo grabbed Fen's hand tightly and comforted her. It's okay. It's okay, boss and I are here, no one will bully you, I'm still a little scared. Fen was a little nervous as she held onto Kang Xiaobo's hand tightly, not daring to let go. It's okay. If you're not ready, just lie down and close your eyes, it'll be fine. Kang Xiaobo comforted. Okay. Fen nodded and followed Kang Xiaobo's instructions, closing her eyes and lying down. Beep beep. Lin Yi pressed the horn twice in front of the railing of the resort's driveway. Kang Mingming took a glance at Lin Yi's car and walked over impatiently. He complained to the security guard beside him, "Can't your hotel's delivery car go through the back door? How many times have I told you? If you go through the front door, wouldn't it affect the guest's mood?" Yes, second young Master Kang. The security guard apologized carefully, but when he looked at the license plate of Lin Yi's van, he was a little puzzled. I don't know this car. Is he a delivery car for the hotel? Delivery car, go through the back door. Kang Mingming ran over impatiently and shouted at Lin Yi while waving his hand. I'm not a delivery car, I'm here to stay. Lin Yi was a little speechless. This was the second time he was mistaken as a delivery car. Stay. This place has been booked by my family. There are no more rooms. You should go somewhere else. After Kang Mingming finished, he ignored Lin Yi and walked back. Why would a stranger waste his breath on him? Kang Mingming didn't have the time for that. Kang Xiaobo frowned, but he opened the car door and got out. Zhao Ming, it's me and my classmates. We're here to celebrate second grandpa's birthday. Oh! Kang Mingming saw Kang Xiaobo get out of the car, and he was obviously stunned. Didn't he ask his father to tell Kang Xiaobo not to come and stay outside? Kang Mingming didn't have a good impression of Kang Xiaobo. At his grandpa's birthday party, Kang Xiaobo didn't give him any face at all. He was cold to his big brother, which made Kang Ming feel very embarrassed. Which of his relatives did not fawn over him with the utmost respect? Why are you, Kang Xiaobo, so arrogant? Although you're also a member of the Kang family, you're not from my bloodline. What's there to be arrogant about? Alright, since you're so arrogant, then just you wait. When Kang Mingming heard that Kang Xiaobo invited his classmates to his grandpa's birthday party, he subconsciously thought that Kang Xiaobo wanted to show off his family's power to his classmate. His second grandpa was the famous Dr. Kang. However, since Kang Ming already had a grudge against Kang Xiaobo, how could he let him have his way? Since you want to show off, I'll make you lose face. Therefore, he purposely asked his father to tell Kang Xiaobo's father that there was no more room in the resort. He asked Kang Xiaobo to find a hotel to stay with his classmates and then reimburse him. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.